After a night off, the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs return to Regency Furniture Stadium to take on the York Revolution. First time the two rivals meet in this 2021 campaign. Andrew Banster alongside my broadcast partner Stevie Bowen here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. June 8th, 2021, the 3-7 York Revolution face off against the 3-7 Southern Maryland Blue Crabs. Both teams 3 games out of first place early in a young season in the newly formed Atlantic League Northern Division. Southern Maryland coming off a series loss to the second place team in the Northern Division of the Atlantic League, the Long Island Ducks. Southern Maryland won game 1 of the series by a score of 7-0. Following that, Southern Maryland lost 19-3 and 5-1. Stevie, interesting note about the Blue Crabs to this point in the season. In games in which Daryl Thompson starts, the Blue Crabs are 2-0. In games in which he doesn't, they are 1-7. Southern Maryland 1-4 in their last 5 on a 2-game losing streak, looking to turn things around tonight against the York Revolution. The starting lineups for tonight's game will start off with the visiting York Revolution. Batting first, the speediest man in all of the Atlantic League, the center fielder, Darian Sanford. Batting second, the shortstop, number 4, Edwin Figuera. Batting third, the left fielder, number 29, Melky Mesa. Batting fourth, the first baseman, number 21, Nelly Rodriguez. Batting fifth, the third baseman, number 13, Carlos Franco. Batting sixth, the designated hitter, number 15, Wellington Dotel. Batting seventh, the right fielder, number 20, Rashad Crawford. Batting eighth, the catcher, number 33, Carlos Castro. And batting ninth, the second baseman, number 2, Jan Sanchez. On the mound for the York Revolution, the right-hander, it is number 32, Jake Welch. Stevie, we will take a very short break. We've got the Blue Crabs starting lineup on the other end of it, right here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. Back on the other end of the break means we are that much closer to Southern Maryland Blue Crabs baseball. Immediately take you through the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs starting lineup right here from the Baynet Press Box on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. On the mound, the right-hander, it is number 40, Sam Burton. 0-1 on the year with a 9.00 ERA. The lineup for your 3-7 Blue Crabs, batting first, the center fielder, number 8, it is Zach Collier. Batting second, the second baseman, number 6, Kent Blackstone. Batting third, the first baseman, number 9, Dario Pisano. Batting fourth in the cleanup spot, the third baseman, number 7, Josh McAdams. Batting fifth, the left fielder, number 11, Jake Lucci. Batting sixth, the designated hitter, number 2, Jake Marshall. Batting seventh, the right fielder, number 23, Will Decker. Batting eighth, the catcher, number 17, Joe DeLuca. And batting ninth, the shortstop, number 12, Michael Baca. Your hometown team is managed by Stan Clyburn. On the other side, in the other dugout, the manager, Mark Mason. A couple of Atlantic League veterans facing off against each other. These two teams had a little bit of bad blood last year between each other. Looking to have a little bit cleaner baseball this season. Leading it off is a new member of this York Revolution team, but he is no stranger to independent or Atlantic League baseball. It's the speedster Darian Sanford. And if you didn't realize just how fast he is, look at Josh McAdams already.
Josh McAdams playing a good 3 to 4 feet in front of third base, just preparing himself for that first pitch bunt.
Even the first baseman, Dario Pisano, is in a little bit as compared to where he'd normally be. Sanford bunts a whole heck of a lot. First pitch looking. It is strike number 1, says tonight's home plate umpire. Behind the dish, it's Larry Rosenberg. At first, Bill Worthington. And at third base, John Ramsey. Burton's 0-1 slapped foul immediately. 0-2, good start from Sam Burton. Tonight is Silver Sluggers night, and with that being said, Stevie and I will be partaking in baseball bingo, presented by the Charleston Senior Community.
Ooh, and a hard inside fastball just comes a little too much and hits Sanford square on the back.
And there's absolutely no question about the fact that the last thing that you ever want to do is put Darian Sanford on base, particularly for free. He's a guy that over his career averages 0.8 stolen bases per game. You know, it might take me a little bit to find each of these bingo portions.
I was just thinking the same thing as that first batter came up to plate. I was trying to quickly read all of them.
Additionally, Stevie and I are trying to find a wager, not monetarily, but just a wager on this bingo match. If anybody has any ideas as to what we should make the punishment for the loser, please comment them in the comments section. A pick over to first. We'll see a lot of those with the speedy Sanford over at first base.
Well, hey, Andrew, I'll tell you right now, with that pickoff move, I just knocked off another piece of my puzzle.
I don't know that I have that one, and if I don't, I'm not going to be happy. Stevie's the one that grabbed the cards, so I would like to point that out.
Okay, listen here. I would never tweet. I would never cheat when betting is involved.
Want to know the count? Live from Regency Furniture Stadium, Sam Burton on the mound. Burton, the creator of a website called Baseball Resume, a site for independent league players to attempt to market themselves, I should say. And again, Sanford didn't even go on that pitch, but Baca was breaking towards second as if he did. Sanford is a scary sight to see on the base paths. Another sinker, another ball. And after back-to-back strikes to start this game, Sam Burton hit Darian Sanford with a pitch and then back-to-back-to-back balls. Burton comes set working out of the stretch. The 3-0. A curveball will hit the batter, Edwin Figuera. And Sam Burton has started this game off with back-to-back hit batsmen. And that is not what you're looking for if you are Stan Clyburn. And I think, does that count as the umpire walking out to the pitcher's mound?
I was just thinking the same thing. I think in order for that to count, the umpire has to at least reach the pitcher's
Our
mound.
bingo's cards say umpire on the way to the mound, and he was technically on his way to the mound.
Yeah, I mean, that works. I also have one, so.
Then maybe we shouldn't count it.
Oh, yeah? Is that what it is?
I think so.
Okay, you're right.
Now up to bat, the 3-hole hitter, the left fielder, number 29, Melky Mesa. Runners on first and second, and a cutter misses high and tight, the count 1-0.
Now, Andrew, I do have a question for you. Are we trying to go in a row, or are we trying to just complete the whole box?
We did just get our first submission in terms of what the punishment should be, and I don't think that it is all that reasonable considering that it might lead to injury as Dario Pisano catches a foul ball over towards the Revs dugout, and that's a much-needed out number one.
It's also a much-needed spot on my bingo card, Andrew.
The wager suggested was that the loser has to do a backflip. And I don't necessarily know that that's a punishment that either of us should take.
For those of you that weren't here with us for a previous broadcast, me and Andrew both vocally let people know that neither one of us are physically able to do a backflip, nor should we either try one.
Yeah, probably not the best idea, but we do appreciate the submission. Burton a look back to second, now facing off against the cleanup hitter, the first baseman, number 25, Nelly Rodriguez. First pitch looking strike. You see Burton going early and often to that cutter. Seems to be his version of a fastball. It's his go-to pitch in just about every count. I'll look back to second. Sanford with a healthy lead. Throws off Burton with a long look. He should probably step off. Looks like he was just waiting for somebody to call time. That's a wise move. It really throws off the timing of the runner at second.
Throws off the timing of everyone there, especially if you're not the one to make that call as a pitcher.
The speedy Sanford has seen every look possible, however, as Burton with another long look back to second. The pitch fouled towards the right side, and the count no balls and 2 strikes. The numbers on the air for Sam Burton. Stevie's got him for you.
Sam Burton so far this season 0-1 on that June 1st game at Lexington versus the Legends. Pitched just 5 innings, had a 9.00 ERA, had 5 runs, all 5 of them earned, as Sanford takes off for third base, and he slides in there in time for the stolen base.
And it looked like Joe DeLuca double clutched a little bit on that play, and anytime that happens, Sanford most surely has a stolen base. Again, Sanford, one of the speediest individuals in all of professional baseball, not just the Atlantic League. In fact, because of that speed, Stevie, twice throughout his career has he been picked up from independent ball to affiliated ball. Runners at second and third with first unoccupied. A slider, a beautiful pitch, strike 3, much needed for Sam Burton, and just like that, 2 down.
Nice job by Sam Burton after throwing those 2 straight strikes and then 4 balls after hitting both batters. Nice job coming at him there, getting him in an 0-2 count early.
That brings up number 13, Carlos Franco. Franco joined the Revs midway through the 2019 season. In fact, had his first series with the Revs against the Blue Crabs. Stevie, he went, I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but something like 9 for 10 in the series with a trio of homers. He's got a fantastic bat, does Franco. And the count, no balls and a strike. Burton a look to third, and the pitch. Well struck to the right center alley. Giving chase is the right fielder, Will Decker. And that baseball will drop. Franco pushing for 2, throw off line, and a pair will score off a 2-out RBI double from Carlos Franco. And with how fantastic this Southern Maryland outfield has been to this point in the season, Stevie, you would have liked your outfielder to have a little bit better of a route to that baseball.
Yeah, as we said, the outfield this year for the Blue Crabs is absolutely locked in. That one, I mean, just kind of put exactly where they weren't. Good ball there by Franco.
So now a runner at second, still 2 down. And that brings up the designated hitter, number 15, Wellington Dotel. Bloop shot to the right center Bermuda triangle. Will Decker comes up with it and throwing. The throw not in time, which allows Dotel safely to reach second base. And a pair of 2-out Revolution hits make the score early, 3-0.
Another one of those hits, you really can't do anything about it if you're the defense. Just perfectly finds that spot right on the outside part of the infield dirt.
Looks like Joe DeLuca will speak with his pitcher. They're pointing out to right field to make sure that Will Decker is okay. Back-to-back tests to the right fielder, Will Decker. Both plays that would be very hard to make nonetheless. Both plays he was unable to. Neither of them really would you expect an outfielder to make. Both very difficult. 3-0 the score here early. The Revolution on top of your Blue Crabs. And that brings up number 20, the right fielder, Rashad Crawford. The pitch from number 40, Sam Burton, outside, 1-0 the count. Burton started this ball game with back-to-back strikes, then back-to-back hit batsmen. He then recorded a pair of outs, but a double stolen base, an RBI double, and an RBI single have made this game 3-0. Crawford, number 20 on the back of his black and gray jersey. As Burton takes a long look back to second, the pitch, a little high, a little tight, 2-1 the count. Look at some numbers for Crawford on the season. Hitting .324, 2 homers, 7 RBI. In his last series against the Lancaster Barnstormers, he went 3 for 11, 2 homers, 5 RBIs, 5 runs, 5 walks. Runner goes on the play. Wellington Dotel swipes third base. Joe DeLuca being tested early.
And I will say that throwdown was a lot better than the one for Sanford at third base, as DeLuca almost had him trying to steal third. But a nice jump there by Dotel.
Rashad Crawford, originally an 11th round draft pick of the Chicago Cubs in 2012, out of Mundy's Mill High School in Georgia. This pitch, a walk. A 5-pitch walk puts runners on the corners, 2 down. As Burton struggling to find his groove here early. Interesting note on Rashad Crawford. Do you remember a couple of years ago when the Chicago Cubs were looking to make their big run for that World Series and traded 4 prospects, including Gleyber Torres, to the New York Yankees for Aroldis Chapman? One of the other prospects was Rashad Crawford.
Interesting.
This pitch catches the outside corner, 0-1. That gives way to the 8-hole hitter, the catcher, number 33, Carlos Castro. Rashad Crawford goes on the pitch. That is 4 stolen bases already in this game. And I missed what happened there. Stevie, did you catch it?
A little bit. Looked like Crawford hurt himself a little bit as he was sliding. Looked like he was walking off the base back to the dugout as if he was out, but he quickly got back on the bag and just kind of took a second to himself.
The count, no balls, 2 strikes. Big swing, big miss. 2 Revs stranded on base as we take you into the bottom of the first. Stevie, not before the Revs can put up a trio. 2 RBIs coming from Wellington, make that Carlos Franco, another from Wellington Dotel. We head into the bottom of the first inning. When we come back, it's Zach Collier, Kent Blackstone, and Dario Pisano on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. 3 early Revs runs bring us into the bottom of the first inning. Southern Maryland trying to scratch back into this game already. 9 innings to do it, so plenty of baseball to play, and it starts off with Zach Collier. Collier had a fantastic game on Saturday night. 3 for 4, a single shy of the cycle. On deck, Kent Blackstone in the hole, Dario Pisano. On the mound, it is Jake Welch. First pitch, a called strike to Zach Collier, and that's how Jake Welch's evening will begin. Welch finds himself to this point in the season having recorded a no decision against the Gastonia Honey Hunters. That coming back on June the 1st. It was a 10-9 Revs loss in that game. Left the game trailing 7-3, but the Revs got him off the hook with some late runs before falling at the end of the contest. 0-2 outside and low, a ball and 2 strikes the count. Welch 0-0 on the year, a 9.00 ERA. In his last start, he went 5 innings, 7 hits, 7 runs, 5 of them earned. 2 walks, no strikeouts. So he records his first strikeout of the season. Has Zach Collier fans on strike number 3, giving way to Kent Blackstone. The Revs starters have struggled this season, Stevie. In 42 innings of work, they've allowed 55 runs. Now, only 46 of them earned, but they've also tossed more walks than strikeouts this season. This pitch to Blackstone, low and away. The Revs starters this year 3-5 with a 9.70 ERA. Have allowed 11 homers. Their relievers have been better in the same amount of innings. A 4.54 ERA. Welch entering his 5th professional season, his 2nd with the Revs. Blackstone hits this one well to the left side, tailing foul at the last moment. Nearly left the ballpark.
As we've seen a couple times already this season, Kent Blackstone has that backside power. He's no stranger to putting it out to left field.
Welch on his way home with the 1-2. Belt level inside misses for the second ball of the count. Welch on his 2nd season here with the Revs. His career totals, 88 games appeared in, 57 starts. He's 21-17 with a 3.47 ERA. This one handcuffs Blackstone, looking to get out of play, and does. So the second baseman has some extra life. Welch attended Notre Dame College in South Euclid, Ohio. Named a first-team All-Mountain East Conference. Began his college career at Jefferson Community College, where he was also All-Conference. The rock, the fire from Welch. High and away, good eye by Blackstone. And the count now full at 3 balls and 2 strikes, which notches another one off my bingo card.
For which one? Full count?
I believe I have one that says full count. If you're just joining us, Stevie and I are playing baseball bingo on the broadcast due to our Silver Sluggers night for our 65 and 55 and over fans in the crowd. Blackstone also fans.
Blackstone looked at a ball. It looked like it came across the plate kind of low. He had to question the home plate umpire as well. But as we talked about multiple times before, this track man up here, the home plate umpire has no say.
We also have talked about that Welch did not strike anybody out in his first and only start this season. Fans, the first 2 Blue Crab batters that he sees. The pitch from Welch to the left-handed hitting Dario Pisano misses. 1-0 the count. Looking at some numbers for Pisano on the season after this pitch from Welch. The 1-0 on its way. Inside, the count 2-0. Pisano hitting .250 on the year, a .378 on base percentage, .472 slugging percentage, and an .850 OPS, which is pretty good. Highest OPS on the Blue Crabs in 2019 was in the 800s, which was awfully low, but still the case. Fastball to the right side. Liner from Pisano puts the first Blue Crab on base. Stevie, sorry I cut you off.
Did you?
I thought I did. Did you have something to say?
I don't think I did. Thank you for thinking of me, though.
Hey, I got you.
Appreciate you.
I got you. That's what I'm here for. That brings up Josh McAdams. McAdams, the cleanup hitter in this lineup, hitting .195 on the year. He is 1 for 11 in the homestand. Wears number 7 on the back of his red Maryland-themed jersey. We'll give you a quick look at that Maryland-themed jersey. You can see it's the red with the cursive across the front and the Maryland flag striped on the sleeves. It's MLB draft night here at Regency Furniture Stadium. We're celebrating the anniversary of the first ever MLB draft. McAdams watches strike one cross the outside corner. Are you into the MLB draft at all, Stevie?
Yes and no. As we've talked about on here before, I'm an Orioles fan, so we normally have one of the top 5 picks.
Why is that?
Because we're not good.
Oh, I forgot, right.
I don't want to get into this argument now on the stream.
Is there an argument to be had?
There's one a brewing, that's for sure. And I'll tell you now, give us till 2025, I'll be on Utah Street celebrating the World Series.
I believe that's the pinned tweet on your Twitter, is it not?
It is 100%.
So you really stand by that comment?
I stand by that comment. 2025,
what if they
even
win
earlier.
I was going to say.
If it's earlier, even better. But
okay.
I like to say by 2025, we should have one.
Fair. A hot shot to the left side from Josh McAdams. Did it clear the wall? Yes, it did. Bye-bye baseball. Josh McAdams with a 2-run shot.
That ball was absolutely roped. Looked to be hooking to the left. Went around the foul pole. Wasn't sure if it was out or not at first, but a beautiful swing there by Josh McAdams.
McAdams with a big clap will wait to step on home plate here, and there's his chance. The animated Josh McAdams always having fun on the baseball field, and that's a breath of fresh air for this Southern Maryland crowd that desperately needed to see their Blue Crabs put up some early runs. Not to mention it notches a couple more on my bingo board here.
I know that notches at least one for me.
Hopefully no more than that.
I think that home run counts as the cleanup batter reaching base.
Technically, yeah, I have that too. Back to the game here as Jake Lucci steps into the left-handed batter's box. A lot of scoring here early as the speedster tries to lay down a bunt, is unable to. Lucci, a native of Dallas, Texas, will wave his bat towards the right field area. Hits it the same way, but foul. Back in the top of the first, the Revs scored 3 two-out runs. Here in the bottom half of the inning, the Blue Crabs add 2 of their own on a Josh McAdams homer. Just barely cleared that SOMDBlueCrabs.com sign on the mini monster. Lucci takes down low, 1-2 the count.
It's a funny thing you mentioned that sign, Andrew. I think whoever put it up did an absolutely fantastic job.
I agree. I think so, too. Especially the person that started it.
Also me?
And I.
We'll include you in that.
Thank you.
Of course.
Welch on his way home with his 1-2. Lucci, a grounder to the right side, caught on the foul line. Steps on it at first, does Nelly Rodriguez. And that puts us through an inning of baseball, but not before the Blue Crabs can start scratching back into this contest with 2 runs of their own coming on a Josh McAdams line drive homer that wasted no time getting out of Regency Furniture Stadium. We head into the top of the second, a one-run ball game right here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. We welcome you into the top of the second inning here at Regency Furniture Stadium. It's a one-run ball game, 3-2 in the early going. Sam Burton back out onto the mound as you are welcomed into the inning by Mike Devine. He will start the third and final game of this series. Tomorrow, Darrell Thompson takes the mound for the Blue Crabs. As for the York Revolution, their rotation, obviously Welch tonight. Tomorrow, Alex Sanabia. And on the 10th, which is Thursday, it's the right-hander Duke Von Schaman. A ball and a strike the count as the 9-hole hitter, the second baseman number 2, Jan Sanchez, takes strike number 2. Sanchez was signed by the Revolution very literally hours before the contest.
I did not know that.
So in his first game as a Rev, first at-bat, finds himself fanned by Sam Burton, and that's exactly the rebound that you're looking for if you're the right-hander Sam Burton after a tough first inning of work. That gives way to Darian Sanford, who stole one of 4 Revolution bags so far in this game. 3-2 the score. 2 hits for either side to this point. McAdams in on the grass, anticipating a bunt. Sanford shows bunt, pulls back at strike number 1. Sanford, again, one of the speediest individuals in professional baseball and has been for the last decade. This is Sanford's 11th game this season. He's already stole 9 bases so far. Not too shabby for the speedster. Stands at 5'8". Pretty wise that he's a switch hitter. With that much speed and a guy that doesn't necessarily hit for power, makes a pretty good amount of sense. A career .299 slugging percentage as he takes low and inside. Strike number 3. Good job by Burton. Back-to-back Ks.
And Sanford was not happy with that call. You can see on a couple of the other strike calls, he looked to the home plate umpire. But nice job there by Burton, really pounding that zone and being able to get 2 back-to-back strikeouts to start the second inning.
Good rebound, and it probably felt really good for him to have some run support early in the contest.
Always good when your offense is backing you up on the mound.
That brings up Edwin Figuera. The shortstop fouls one to the right side. Run support has been hard to come by for Southern Maryland to this point this season. The Blue Crabs, to this point in the year, in their 10 games played, have scored 3 or fewer runs in 4 of the 10. Southern Maryland 0-4 when scoring 3 or fewer, 3-3 when scoring more than 3. Interestingly, Southern Maryland not faring that poorly when their opponent scores first this season, which we've talked about on this broadcast across all levels of baseball and really all sport outside of maybe basketball. Whenever a team scores first, they're very likely to end up winning that contest, or at least more likely than not. Southern Maryland 3-4 when scoring first this year, 0-3 when their opponent scores first. Hot shot to the left side, no chance at getting that for Michael Baca at short and Josh McAdams at third base.
And that was just a well-placed ball by Edwin Figuera. As it looked, McAdams might have been able to reach out for it, but that one was just a little too far away from him on his glove side.
Melky Mesa on his way up to the plate with a 2-out chance. Mesa played in the MLB for the Yankees in both 2012 and 2013. How about this? He went 6 for 15 in his MLB career. Had a homer, 2 doubles. Called strike on the outer half, 1-0 the count. Mesa, 34 years old. His full name, Melquisedec Mesa. Mesa joined the Revs for the first time back in 2018. He hit .337 that year. In 2019, he hit .298. This season, he's hitting .275. He's a guy that can hit the ball. There's no question about that. He's also a guy that has been playing professional baseball for quite some time. Logged his first season of professional baseball in 2006 when he was just 19. He has over 5,200 plate appearances in his professional career.
Wow.
This is 1,350th professional game. Awaiting the 1-2 from Burton. Make that the 3-2 as Mesa takes upstairs. And for the second inning in a row, I beg your pardon, I actually was correct. I think it was 1-2.
I was confused as well for a second. I didn't think there were 3 balls in the at-bat.
Well, I thought I was wrong, but to my to my pleasure, I'm happy that I was wrong about that.
To your surprise that you were correct?
Yeah, not quite that. At least I hope not. 3-1 the count. Larry Rosenberg, the home plate umpire. Burton's 3-1. Fastball, outside corner, strike number 2.
Melky Mesa really just looking for a walk here.
Which is not what you would expect out of a guy that hits the ball the way he does. I mean, again, .337, if I'm not mistaken, that's one of the 10 best batting averages in a single season in Atlantic League history.
Pretty solid number there, I'd say.
Strike number 3, swinging. Melky Mesa's strikeout allows Sam Burton to strike out the side. What a rebound inning after he allowed a trio back in the top of the first. The score 3-2 right here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. We'll be right back on the other end of this break. Jake Marshall leads us off in the bottom of the second. The score 3-2. Marshall shows bunt, and it's a beautiful one. Not quite going to be able to beat it out, and I'm going to be honest with you, Stevie. I'm a little surprised with that because I'm not knocking Marshall because he has been hitting incredibly well this year.
He has.
But he is not the fastest guy on the Blue Crabs roster, to put it nicely.
And to put it nicely as well, by far. Maybe not nicely, but he's not the fastest guy on the team, which is very surprising to see that first pitch bunt for him.
And it was a very well-placed bunt. I think he wanted a little bit more to the right.
It was a very good bunt. Just perfectly got between the third baseman and the pitcher.
Hot shot right up the middle. Will Decker with a base hit. After beginning the season 0 for 20, Decker now finds himself riding a 4-game hit streak. That brings up the catcher, number 17, Joe DeLuca. DeLuca got the day off on Sunday. Southern Maryland got the day off yesterday. DeLuca hitting .269 on the year. 752 OPS, pretty darn good for a catcher. Really, for anybody on the team. But you always find it as an added luxury to have a catcher that can hit. It's obviously part of the reason that a guy like Adley Rutschman was so highly touted, because in general, catchers provide their value defensively,
yes,
and just get by offensively. And that's okay because the catcher is such an important position, but if you can hit too, that's incredible.
You see guys like Adley Rutschman that can do both, and he's just an anomaly at that point.
And of course, it also adds so much to the team as well, considering the fact that these days MLB teams are always trying to look for that little extra edge that nobody else has. How can you make your team a little better? And obviously a way to do that is adding something that most people don't have. It's one of the reasons I've always said that so long as the DH rule continues, why not teach your pitchers to hit even just a little bit? Because if you're looking to add value, that would be the one thing that nobody has.
I mean, obviously you're not going to find another Shohei Ohtani, but another pitcher that's able to get a base hit here and there will definitely help you out more.
Right. I mean, I've always thought that made sense. But then again, I mean, sometimes when I have these ideas, I tell myself that, there's a reason you're not the one in charge, and there's got to be something you don't see here.
Someone's already had that thought before. There's a reason why that rule isn't in there. We just don't know that reason.
This is fair. A 1-1 count from Welch to DeLuca. Decker goes on the pitch.
Wow.
A beautiful throw from the catcher, Carlos Castro. And two interesting base running decisions for the Blue Crabs. The first one, a bunt attempt. Second, caught stealing. I do like the aggression, however, Stevie. I truly do like that. It's something that I think provides a lot of value to a team. But, of course, when it doesn't pan out, it is incredibly detrimental to the team.
In this league, you're playing against a lot of very good ball players. You have to be that aggressive.
Hot shot line drive, and on the right field line, Joe DeLuca will round first looking for two. The catcher, number 17, jogs into second with a stand-up double. And that right there is the reason where it really hurts where you have a caught stealing. Because in a situation like that, you got to imagine Decker has at least a chance at scoring from first.
I think on that one, Decker has enough speed. He has at least one stolen base already this season. I think he's scoring there.
So now Michael Baca. Baca, number 12 on the back of the jersey, the shortstop. In his second season in the Atlantic League, first with the Blue Crabs. That Marshall decision earlier it becomes a little more perplexing considering the fact that he has been hitting the ball very literally better than almost anybody in the Atlantic League this year. When you look at the catcher's numbers, he hasn't played in every game, but he literally leads the Atlantic League in batting average at 500, and I think he's 7 for 14, so it's not like he's only bat twice. So that's where a little bit of the confusion comes in, as a wild pitch that bounces off of home plate. If that didn't score Decker, if the double didn't score Decker, that very certainly would have. But again, I mean, hindsight is always 2020, right? And additionally, you can't ever fault somebody for being aggressive on the base paths.
Yes.
In my opinion, you can get mad at somebody for being too tentative.
Yeah.
But you have to be aggressive in the game of baseball.
Unless it's a situation where you're
true.
rounding third heading home and you definitely shouldn't have gone home.
True.
But if you're just being aggressive trying to get that extra run, I mean, there's nothing hurt there.
A runner at third, 0-1 the count. And that pitch misses. Beg your pardon. Now 1-1 the count. Baca with a runner on third represents the tying run in this contest. Welch on his way home. Again, fastball misses off the outer edge. 2-1 the count. Stevie, I meant to mention this to you when we tried to guess the attendance on Saturday night.
Yeah.
I meant to mention that you were right and I was wrong.
I what? Like on the dot?
Well, not on the dot,
Okay.
but closer than me. I think I guessed 4,000. You guessed like 3,200, and I think the number was 3,100.
Let's go.
Opening night was just under 6,000. Sunday was 2,500. A lot of Blue Crabs fans coming out in flocks. If you do the math on that, in one weekend, that's well over 10,000 fans in attendance just in 3 days, which is awfully impressive.
Which is very impressive.
Southern Maryland with over 1.8 million fans having attended their games in their 13th year of baseball. 3-2 the count.
And that slider seemed to fool Baca. Almost swung out of his shoes as he was looking for that fastball down the middle.
The count full. Waiting on deck, the leadoff hitter, number 8, Zach Collier. Aligning on the right side of the rubber, the pitch. 3-2, just gets a piece of it. Gets back to the Roy Rogers backstop padding, and the 7th pitch of this at-bat will be on its way. Welch trying to have a clean second inning just like his counterpart, Sam Burton, did. Burton a long look into his catcher, Jan, make that Carlos Castro. Welch's pitch, high and away. So a walk will bring up Zach Collier with runners on the corners and 2 down.
Now, Andrew, I don't mean to brag or anything, but if we're just saying that we're going a straight line down, I already have bingo.
For anybody that hasn't been listening, Stevie and I are playing baseball bingo, courtesy of the Charleston Senior Community Living Center, here on our Silver Sluggers night. To thank our 55 and over fans. Collier staying warm up there at the plate. The pitch, chopped between his legs and foul. Collier is a professional baseball veteran. There's no question about that. He's a guy that is proven and a former first-round draft pick by the Philadelphia Phillies. In just his second season of independent baseball. Fastball well off the plate. Collier, as a matter of fact, I beg your pardon, in his third season of independent baseball, was in affiliated ball from 2008 until 2014. He then joined the Atlantic League as a member of the Lancaster Barnstormers. Another fastball off the outer edge. And the count 2 balls and a strike.
It was a good hold there by Collier. He almost went around on it, but decided to stay back as that ball was just a little too far outside.
After a full season with the Barnstormers, Collier, just again to show you how high of a level of baseball the Atlantic League is, after a season in independent baseball, having never made AAA before that season, was purchased by the Washington Nationals and began the season at their AAA level. Another fastball off the plate, and the robo-umps are a little bit more picky tonight with their pitches, which to this point has benefited Blue Crab's batsmen.
It was a very narrow strike zone from the Robots tonight.
You know, maybe that would be a good rebrand. The Robots.
Southern Maryland Robots.
Doesn't really sound right, though.
Blue Crab sounds good.
That's true.
I like that one.
Zach Collier awaiting the pitch. Another fastball. Another time off the edge. And just like that, I cross another piece on the Charleston Senior Living Community's baseball bingo card. I do have one that says bases loaded Blue Crabs. I also have one that says home run Blue Crabs. So I'm kind of racking it up here, Stevie. How you doing?
I have bingo twice already.
The other team had a wild pitch.
Yeah, I got
Didn't
that
they?
one. Yes, the other team had a wild pitch. That's what put Joe DeLuca on third base.
Look at me. And we had a double. Ken Blackstone comes up with the bases juiced. A curveball. Was not expecting that, nor would you be on a 0-0 count. Southern Maryland trailing by a run here in this bottom of the second. Although no runs have been scored at all in this second inning. Blackstone chops one to the right side. Ranging to his right is Nelly Rodriguez. Jake Welch covers and puts away the threat the Blue Crabs had on the table, Stevie. Leaving 3 on base as we take you into the bottom. Make that the top of the third inning. An exciting game to this point and a close one. 3-2 Revs on top will take you in to the top of the third right here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. To the top of the third we go here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. Andrew Banser alongside Stevie Bowen to lead us off here in the top of the third. Nelly Rodriguez, who had a good put out to get things started. To end the bottom of the second inning. Southern Maryland had the bases loaded before a good defensive play allowed the score to stay at 3-2. 4 hits for the Blue Crabs to this point. Just 3 for the Revs. Gives them 3 runs. The count, 2 balls and no strikes. Burton allowed 3 in the first, but struck out the side in the second. It's a beautiful night here in Waldorf. Burton rears back and fires. Strike number 2. Apologize for a little technical difficulties we may be experiencing. Getting the camera fixed for you here on your Blue Crabs Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. The count runs full at 3 balls and 2 strikes. You know, it's not bad baseball weather, Stevie.
It's really not. A little humid out, but it's not blistering hot like it was earlier today.
Right. I mean, really, despite how hot it's been every day this week, the only game that would have been one that would not have been a ton of fun to play in was on Sunday. Mm-hmm. It's been blistering hot, like you said, during the day, but come nighttime, it's not too bad.
Not bad at all.
Rodriguez working a 3-2 count. Burton awaiting his delivery, the payoff pitch. A slider to the left side. McAdams has some time. Throws across the infield. And another one off my bingo board with an infield assist.
I just looked over to my bingo board so quickly to see if I can get one, but I don't think I have one.
Again, if you're just joining us here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network, Stevie and I, as part of a thanks to the Charleston Senior Living Community, are playing baseball bingo here on the broadcast.
And I am winning.
And to that point, we would love some submissions for wagers in terms of what the loser should get. Swing and a miss on the outer edge. 0-1 the count. Maybe a good, wouldn't really even be a punishment, but maybe the winner of this bet can pick a time for the loser to convince his buddy Pinch to go visit the Charleston Senior Living Community. Hey, I'm the one losing right now.
That's a good point.
Plus, all I got to do is convince Pinch. So he's a pretty lovable guy.
He's pretty convincing. Yeah. He's really go-with-the-flow kind of guy.
Oh, totally. He can be a little crabby sometimes, though.
Ha, ha, ha. Nice.
Thank you. The pitch to Franco. Catches the outside corner. 2-2 the count. Chopper to the right side, not a problem for Kent Blackstone. Gobbles and fires to the first baseman Dario Pisano. And a really good rebounding 5 outs from Sam Burton. He's a guy that came in with a 9.00 ERA. Clyburn being the manager of the Blue Crabs, Stan Clyburn. Seeing 3 runs in the first is not exactly what you're looking for, but a really nice job rebounding. And Wellington Dotel comes to the plate.
As you said, Burton faced 8 batters in that first inning. So far, in the second and third inning alone, has faced just 6. So, as you said, done a nice job rebounding on the mound.
Dotel tries to bunt down the third base line, but foul. Dotel, 35, almost 36 years old. 6'1", 180 out of the Dominican Republic. Another guy that's been playing professional baseball for quite some time. The DR native, like Melky Mesa, has been in professional baseball since 2006. Interestingly, he's been in independent baseball dating back to 2010. In fact, he is in a he started his independent career in a now defunct league, the North American League. Dotel steps back in. He started his professional career in the Seattle Mariners organization. Had quite the season in both 2017 and make that 2019 and 2018 for the Revs as he singles to the right side. First played in the Atlantic League, did Wellington Dotel. Back in the 2015 season, he actually, in that season, had the best ever, I believe the best ever, batting average in Atlantic League history with a 340.
Wow.
MVP of the league that year for the now defunct Bridgeport Bluefish.
Very impressive.
Played for the Bluefish from 2015 through 2017. That was Bridgeport's last season in the Atlantic League. To start the 2018 season, Dotel played 8 games for the Sugarland Skeeters before being traded to the Revolution and hitting .310. Very reminiscent of a Blue Crab that was traded to the Blue Crabs from the New Britain Bees, also a now defunct team in the Atlantic League. In fact, it was a guy named Angelis Nina, and
what a name!
It is
Great name.
It was a great name. One of my favorite things. I like these little puns.
Of course.
On the air. And one time he played the outfield, so I had to say Angelis in the outfield.
Very nice.
I had to do that.
I was trying to think about how you could spin that, but that's a solid one.
He started the 2018 season as a member of the New Britain Bees, as this one pops foul to the left side. He hit .078 for the Bees through 20 games, and the Bees were coming here to Southern Maryland, and he was traded to the Blue Crabs as they arrived, so he just walked right into our clubhouse. He ended up hitting .330 for the Blue Crabs that year after hitting .078.
Wow.
He was traded to this very same York Revolution team in 2019. 0-2 on its way. Cutter off the outer edge. Number 20, the right fielder, Rashad Crawford, mentioned that interesting fact that he was among the prospects traded for Aroldis Chapman. That was one of the most interesting trades in recent history in baseball.
Which one?
The Aroldis Chapman trade back in 2016 because...
The Cubs one you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
They knew it was a rental.
Yeah.
They knew Chapman was going back to the Yankees, but they didn't care.
Yeah.
And in some ways, it got them that World Series. I mean, you remember Chapman pitching for Joe Madden, who, by the way, is a former teammate of Stan Clyburn's. Joe Madden is. Interestingly enough, they played together in Single A, were both catchers on the roster.
Nice.
Stan beat out Joe Madden, and Madden then retired from baseball. I beg your pardon, Stan went up to Triple A. Madden stayed in Single A and then retired. Darryl Thompson, pitching coach for the Blue Crabs, and Lauren Eck went out to check on Sam Burton, who, to bring things full circle in this Atlantic League, pitched for the Revolution most recently in the Atlantic League in 2019.
That's why I love this league. So many guys bouncing around at different teams. You get a little taste of everything.
This league.
This league, man.
Potentially a pitch out as Burton continues to look at. Now we're getting a better gauge of what's going on. I think his finger may be bleeding. He's wiping it on his pants.
Yeah, it looks like it as well.
And I would have to imagine that athletic trainer Lauren Eck did not notice that, because I think if she did, that would be addressed immediately.
Yes. As you can see, looks down at that hand right after letting go of the ball.
And you can see some blood he's rubbing off on his pants. He's going to take some time to keep rubbing that off. Lauren Eck does not have the same angle that we do from the booth, as Darryl Thompson has now noticed it and is not going to take no for an answer from Sam Burton, who that shows you how much of a gamer he is.
Yeah. He's willing to stay in there when you're literally bleeding on the mound.
Speaking of gamer, he is a gamer. He plays video games.
Nice.
Sam Burton does. He was telling me that in a in a preseason interview. I had actually forgotten about it. And I was down in the clubhouse handing off some statistics earlier, and he was gaming. Pre-game, he said it clears his mind before he starts. And I'm walking past, and he says, "Hey," and I'm like, "Hello?" And he says, "I told you." And I said, "Why?" Because I had honestly, and it slipped my mind. He said he did that. He said, "I told you I play video games before every start." So he was doing it right in the middle of the clubhouse too.
That's pretty cool. Everyone has their little pregame rituals. That's a fun one.
It is. It is.
That's normally my pre-sleep ritual.
Yeah, that's a good one. While we have some time, what are some of your favorite video games?
Ooh, see, I'm a sports guy.
Same.
I play MLB The Show. I play Madden, NHL, all that stuff. I've been into Rocket League a lot recently.
Me too.
I love Rocket League. Wait, are you PS4 or Xbox?
PS4. Yeah.
Good.
I'm a big Rocket League guy.
Good.
So.
No, big into that. Have you ever played Super Mega Baseball?
I have not.
It is a fantastic game. Just completely animated, like cartoon characters playing baseball. But the gameplay style of it is one of the hardest games I've played. If you put it up to like one of the top levels, and it's very fun.
So we talk about Sam Burton. We talk about these finger injuries, which happen to pitchers from time to time. Of course, the most notable and well-known finger injury to a pitcher, Trevor Bauer, a couple years ago. One of the first times Trevor Bauer was kind of in national headlines for his arguably quirky nature, I would say. He's a guy with unique interests, which, in my opinion, is good for the game of baseball. It widens our horizons to new fans. But he's a guy that flies drones. It might have been, was it the World Series or was it the NLCS? ALCS.
I think it was the ALCS, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he was flying a drone, and he cut his finger. I don't think he quite mutilated his finger, but it wasn't good. Now, one of our employees here in the press box, the man, the myth, the legend, my good friend Kevin Collins, just came into the broadcast booth and raised a very good point. Is the double hook rule still in effect if a pitcher is injured? Which would be very interesting. Of course, the double hook rule, a new MLB rule change rule, being that once the starting pitcher is pulled, the relieving pitcher must take the DH spot, thus getting rid of the designated hitter.
I think if it comes down to an injury, that's not necessarily the pitcher's fault. Like if he were to get taken out of a game because he's not pitching well, then that makes sense that you would have to do the double hook rule. But in this instance, he obviously wasn't planning on getting injured, and it's kind of a substitution in the game where you wouldn't expect it. So I don't know if the double hook rule would make much sense in that aspect.
Now, for anybody that has not played baseball, take a cut on the finger and compare it to the easiest comparison would be, imagine putting duct tape around your finger and trying to write with a pencil. It would be extremely difficult, but not that difficult. Although, at the same time, with a pencil, doesn't really matter if you make a minuscule mistake.
Yes, of course.
Whereas with a pitch, a minuscule mistake could lead to 3 or 4 inches off the plate. So it's something that can really, really mess with pitchers. In fact, pitchers will miss starts if they have blisters on their hands.
Mm-hmm. Any type of, maybe not even injury, any type of deformity to your hand, that's huge as a pitcher. You use that hand every game, almost 100 times a game.
And it's interesting because a deformity on the baseball that the hand is holding can actually be a benefit to the pitcher, of course. Any marks on the baseball might add some more movement to the pitches, as it looks like Sam Burton is ready to get back on the mound. First pitch, a curveball. How about it?
That's all he needs.
A couple of warm-up pitches allows him for a one-pitch strikeout. How about that? You don't hear that so often.
No, you do not.
Burton recovers not only from an injury, but a poor start to this ball game, which brings us into the bottom of the third right here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. Welcome back inside the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. Andrew Banster alongside Stevie Bowen. First pitch from Jake Welch here in the bottom of the third. Will miss low and away, and the count 1-0. Dario Pisano leads us off here in the bottom of the third inning. Hasn't been the fastest moving game, but it has been awfully entertaining, and I'll take that over speed any day of the week. 3 York Revolution runs in the top of the first inning. 2 coming off the bat of Carlos Franco on a double. Wellington Dotel knocked in another. The Revs stole 4 bases in that first inning. One of them a double steal. Dario Pisano coming back up to the plate was absolutely on fire to begin the season. Has cooled down a little bit since, but still seeing the ball awfully well. Pisano, grounder through the right side of the infield. Nobody could get to it. And Stevie, we cross off yet another one on the Charleston Senior Living Community's baseball bingo.
Leadoff batter reaches base for the Blue Crabs. Thank you, Dario.
I have bad news for myself. For some reason, I thought I had that on my bingo card too, but only you did.
Yes, just me.
That's tough. That brings up Josh McAdams. McAdams came up in the bottom of the first, lined a homer over the left field mini monster. With 2 down, him and Pisano got things going. See if they can do it again to start off this bottom of the third.
And that home run in the first got out of here in a hurry.
Pisano now 2 for 2 with a run scored on the day. Good start for the first baseman. McAdams hits another one well to the left side, but on the ground and foul.
Looked like Dalton Geeky down there down the left field line making the play in foul territory.
Fielding his position as a bullpen pitcher.
Of course.
The Revs coming off an incredibly high-scoring series against their hometown rival, maybe not hometown, but just right down the road rival, the Lancaster Barnstormers. The Revs scored nearly 60 runs in that series, and they were long games, each of them lasting within minutes of 4 hours.
I mean, if you score 60 runs in 3 games, I don't expect them to be short ones.
The first game was the Revs make that the Barnstormers' home opener. It was an 18-2 York win in that contest, with 5,100 in attendance. The next day, it took 10 innings for Lancaster to defeat the Revs by a score of 11-10. And then on Sunday, it was a 12-11 game. So anytime 5 of the 6 teams in the series make that in 3 games, 5 teams had scored double-digit runs, generally is going to be a very interesting game for the pitching staffs, which led to Blake Galen, the catcher, who is also incredibly... He's a guy that's known for being incredibly fit, incredibly strong, and in fact, he is an ambassador for MetRx, which is a huge protein brand. So, McAdams, a hot shot to the left side. Figuera double clutches, but he has time to get Pisano at second on a 6-4 putout. But it's for the York Revolution as we take you in to the top of the 4th inning. After one more batsman comes up, Jake Lucci trying to keep things going. I beg your pardon. That was the first out of the inning. Lucci finding his groove of late. The left-handed hitting left fielder. 2 for 11 in the homestand, but both crucial hits. The first of which was a 2-run RBI. Then, in the 5-1 Blue Crabs loss to the Long Island Ducks, found himself scoring the lone run of the game, following a 2-out double. Fastball in there for strike number 1. 3-2 the score. The Revs on top of the Blue Crabs here early. Both teams a sixth of the way through the first half of this season. Both teams 3-7, so desperately looking for a win. Southern Maryland has the chance to make up some serious ground throughout the remainder of this homestand, Stevie. A 9-game homestand. We're in the 4th of it. All 9 against Northern Division rivals. The subsequent 3 coming against the York Revolution. Take on the Barnstormers a couple times afterwards. The Barnstormers leading the Atlantic League North Division to this point in the season. The Ducks following closely thereafter. Welch is 0-2 on its way to Lucci. The pitch, a curveball. Lucci just gets a piece of it.
And you can see Lucci there taking his time walking around home plate. You knew he wanted more of that pitch. It looked pretty. Nice job fouling it off. Able to stay alive in the at-bat.
Lucci hitting 200 on the year. A .310 on-base percentage. Walks a fair amount. In his 6th season of professional baseball, but his first since 2017. His 3rd season in the Atlantic League of Professional Baseball. Began his career in the American Association in 2012. But subsequently shuffle around the independent ranks until 2015. A beautiful curveball was right under the bat of Jake Lucci, and just like that, 2 are down. That gives way to Jake Marshall. Marshall attempted a push bunt his first time up, but it went a little too close to the 3rd baseman for the York Revolution, Carlos Franco. And he was put out on a 5-3 putout. First pitch, Marshall sees well outside for ball number 1. Southern Maryland with 4 hits, giving them 2 runs here in the bottom of the third. To this point in the game, the Revs, 3 hits have given them 3 runs. Marshall has been awfully good to begin this 2021 campaign. The Atlantic League, the highest level of baseball. The catcher and today's designated hitter has played into this point in his career, and he's made every opportunity count. Entered the game hitting 7 for 14, or 500 on the year. 563 on base percentage. Marshall awaits the Welch pitch. And will catch, make that miss the low and outside corner. It's the first Silver Sluggers night of the season. It's not too late to purchase your Silver Sluggers package. You can get a ticket to every Tuesday home game, all 10 of them. For any that you don't use, you can come to any other game with those tickets. So if you bought them today, you'd get the rest or the remaining 9 Silver Slugger games for our 55 and older fans, and then an extra ticket just for $38. You also get a custom t-shirt. You're a member of the most exclusive club in Southern Maryland.
It's a pretty sweet deal. I saw some of the shirts we had down there. I might get one.
You might.
I have a fake ID that says I'm 55 just so I can get those senior tickets.
There you go. Marshall with Decker awaiting on deck. DeLuca in the hole. Decker and DeLuca had hits in their first time up. Marshall awaiting the pitch. Fouls it off. And we'll stay at a full count. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Marshall making a count. The catcher not willing to make it easy on the starting pitcher, Welch. Welch about to throw his 60th pitch of the night here in the bottom of the third. The pitch on its way. Grounded to the left side. Shortstop Figuera comes up with it. It'll be a close one, but in favor of the York Revolution. A 6-3 putout puts us a third of the way through this contest. We'll be right back as Sam Burton heads back to the mound on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. Into the middle third of this contest as we go. Sam Burton appears to have repaired his finger injury he dealt with late into the top of the third inning. His first pitch misses outside, and he immediately looks at that thumb that he injured. And that may be an issue throughout this contest. Top of the fourth action, 3-2 the score. Revs on top of the Blue Crabs as Grafer Aregua warms once again in the Blue Crabs bullpen. And now after every pitch, Burton is looking at that right thumb that appears to be injured. The 1-1 fouled. Sam Burton working into his fourth inning of action, making his 19th career professional start, his fourth here in the Atlantic League. One of those coming as a member of the York Revolution. Burton on the season 0-1 with a 9 ERA. He has slowly worked up the independent baseball ranks since 2016 when he attended and graduated Winston-Salem University. As a foul ball goes to the right side. Graduated in 2016, the right-hander then began his professional career in the Frontier League of Professional Baseball in 2017. Has spent the majority of his career in a relief role. The 6'4" Kentucky native is a power pitcher that fans batters at an elite rate, averaging 9.1 strikeouts across his career entering the 2021 season. The count full at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Burton facing off against the right-hander Jake Welch this evening as he had another foul to the right side. In fact, all starting pitchers in this contest, all of the projected pitchers, I should say, are all right-handers. Tonight it's Burton against Welch. Tomorrow night, it's Daryl Thompson. He's 2-0 with a 0.64 ERA on the season. We mentioned it earlier, but it is an important enough stat, Stevie, that I think it's worth mentioning again. This season, Southern Maryland 3-7. They are 1-7 in games in which Daryl Thompson does not start, meaning he's 2-0. Again, a 0.64 ERA for the 35-year-old. He'll face off against the right-hander Alex Nabia, 2-0 with a 5.23 ERA on the season. Yet another full count pitch hit well to the left side. Jake Lucci gives chase, touches the warning track, and that baseball lands in the bumper boat pools. That was an absolute shot.
Yeah, I think I saw some splash coming up from that one, and that means that ball might have cleared Brooksy's boardwalk over there in left center field. That ball had a hang time, and that just seemed to stay up in the air forever.
And off the bat, Stevie, I personally didn't think it was undoubtedly out. I wasn't necessarily thinking that was going to be a homer.
First thought, I thought it was out, but not that far. And as I saw Jake Lucci running for the ball, I thought he might have a chance to actually get there. But as you saw, that ball cleared the fence by a lot.
So the Carlos Castro homer, his first of the year, makes it 4-2. Either side with 5 hits to this point in the contest. You know, Stevie, it's interesting. The Blue Crabs hit a home run in 4 of their first 5 games, but have only hit 1 to this point. Make that now 2 with the McAdams bomb today.
The other one coming from Zach Collier the other day.
That's right. So just 1 in their first 3 games is not on par with the way they started the season. But to that point, nobody really projected Southern Maryland's forte to be power hitting. More likely speed, versatility, and hitting for average, the way this team was constructed makes things most likely. If you're just joining us, the score 4-2 here in the top of the 4th inning. And the only other very tightly contested battle is Stevie and I's bingo contest, presented by the Charleston Senior Living Community. Here on our Silver Sluggers night at Regency Furniture Stadium.
I'm killing it so far on this bingo board.
I'm doing okay.
Just okay.
Yeah, I'm doing okay. I do think I'll get 4 pitchers in a single game.
I have that one as well. I also think at this rate,
we'll both get blackouts.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think so as well.
I already have a couple bingos.
Actually, I have 3.
I have 1. So that's how my night is going. Darian Sanford up to the plate, shows bunt, tries it, but pushes it foul towards the Blue Crabs bat boy for strike number 1. Sanford, clearly one of the best bunters and one of the fastest individuals in professional baseball, has now tried to bunt 3 times tonight.
Just hasn't been able to put one down.
And that's a good thing if you're Burton, who has a lot of movement on his pitches. He nearly hits his 4th batter of the evening. And Stevie, I mentioned it at the top of the inning, he's been looking at that thumb after nearly every pitch.
Yeah. Seems to be a slight issue for him. They might be giving, looks like Carlos Diaz out there warming up in the bullpen a little bit more time.
I believe Grafer Aregua.
Oh, you're right. It was Carlos Diaz earlier when Burton was originally hurt.
And that's what Darian Sanford's going to do to you. A beautiful bunt to the right side. And additionally, not incredible defensive coverage by the Blue Crabs. It's a newer team. Pisano and Blackstone have only played the right side of the infield together about 4 times. None with Burton. All 3 of them went for the ball. Nobody covering the base.
Exactly. So a bunt single for Darian Sanford. Puts runners on first and second with nobody out.
And that makes way for the shortstop, number 4, Edwin Figuera. None down and a Revs 4-2 lead. They're in this top of the 4th inning. They scored 1 in this 4th on a solo shot off the bat of Carlos Castro. Burton with a long look into his catcher, Joe DeLuca, who's working on 2 days rest. Pitch incoming. Nice curveball there. And the curveball is not an easy pitch to throw with an injured thumb.
And he placed that one pretty perfectly as Figueroa was way out in front of it.
Still some action in the Blue Crabs bullpen. Chopper to the left side, and foul makes its way into the stands. That'll be a lucky souvenir for a fan. You see Matt Latos down there in the bullpen, helping that fan figure out a way to find that ball. And he takes it back from him, and now he's just kind of toying with him a little so he can sign his son's baseball. Classy move by Matt Latos. We'll get you a look of that over in the Blue Crabs bullpen. Foul ball gets out of play. And the count of 2 strikes to Figuera. None down for Sam Burton, who rebounded after a difficult first inning of action. The 1-2 struck well to center field. Zach Collier back, and he'll make that one look much easier than it truly was. A well-placed throw to second base to at least stop both runners from reaching scoring position. As Stan Clyburn will go talk to his starting pitcher, which likely means that's the end of the road for the right-hander. Meaning Grafer Aregua will get put into a difficult spot, to say the least. He's a guy that has been put into a lot of difficult spots to this point in the season. Aregua coming in from the Blue Crabs bullpen. 1 down, runners on the corners, and a 2-run deficit is what the right-hander will inherit when we come back after collecting a little bit more information on Grafer Aregua right here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. Grayfer Aregua welcomes himself into this top of the fourth inning where he inherits a difficult situation, Stevie. The right-hander comes in with runners on the corners and one down to face off against number 29, Melky Mesa, one of the better hitters in the Atlantic League over the last half-decade. The three-hole hitter.
As you were saying before the break, Grayfer Aregua has a couple appearances this year, but none more than just an inning or two. As so far in 4 appearances, he has 5 total innings, gave up 8 hits, 4 runs, 3 of them earned, with 1 walk and 7 strikeouts so far on the season.
You also have to imagine, Stevie, that he's probably going to have to work more than just an inning or two this evening.
It's still fairly early in this game. I could easily see him going until the 7th or 8th.
Especially considering the fact that Southern Maryland doesn't want to burn their arms for the rest of these incredibly important upcoming 6 games, including tonight, which are all against Northern Division opponents. A pop-up to the right side. He's going to land in the Bermuda Triangle past the outstretched glove of Kent Blackstone. A ball and a strike to count, and it looks like Stevie may have crossed another piece off of his...
No, I was about to cross one off until the play was not made.
Ah, that's tough. You hate to hear that. Couple of the bingo pieces that Stevie and I are looking for. 4 pitchers in a game. We're close to that. As a baseball is hit high to the right side, here comes Will Decker. He catches it while sliding. And if the runner at second base, Jan Sanchez, would have known he was going to slide, he may have tagged up. But Grayfer Aregua and the Blue Crabs catch a break as Joe DeLuca requests time, is granted it by the home plate umpire Larry Rosenberg, and Aregua will record a second out of the inning to bring up the cleanup hitter, the first baseman Nelly Rodriguez.
You got to think, maybe Melky Mesa is on my side there, because I almost crossed out one of my bingo pieces off that one foul ball he hit, and then I crossed off the one I was going to on that last hit.
You know, Stevie, it's interesting to note that the runners are at first and third, and Darian Sanford hasn't even attempted to steal second base.
I also noticed that as well. Very surprising so far because of the speed he has, the absolute dangerousness of him on first base.
Yeah, I mean, he bunted to get on here in this inning.
It was a beautiful one.
Nelly Rodriguez, just 26 years old, a native of New York, New York. This ball gets past Jake DeLuca. Will likely go down as a passed ball. And that's painful if you're a Blue Crabs fan.
That one will be recorded a passed ball as it scores Jan Sanchez from third.
And that's a tough pill to swallow if you're Southern Maryland. If a couple things go your way in each game, that can change the outcome of any game, of course. And sometimes you kind of know when those pivotal moments are. Nonetheless, a lot of baseball left to play. The score 5-2 in favor of the York Revolution. 2 of those runs came right here on the top of the 4th inning. The first on a solo shot from Carlos Castro, and now Jan Sanchez scores on a pass ball. A slider from Grafer Aregua misses. The count even at a ball and a strike. 5 of the 7 runs in this ball game were scored back in the first inning. 3 by the Revs, 2 by Southern Maryland. We saw scoreless second and third innings before another pair has been put on by the Revolution here in the top of the 4th. 2 balls and a strike the count. Aregua looked back to the speedy Sanford at second. On his way home, fastball overpowers Nelly Rodriguez to even the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Aregua reared back and fired that ball. That might be one of the hardest pitches he's thrown this game already.
And they say that nearly every pitcher, professional pitcher, only throws about 95% most of the time. A, for control reasons. B, to do things like those last 2 pitches. Back-to-back hot shots off the arm of Grafer Aregua. Both 93-mile-an-hour four-seam fastballs. And he works his way out of a difficult situation. We head into the bottom of the 4th. Southern Maryland chasing a trio here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. Into the bottom of the 4th we go, live from the Bayonet Press Box, right here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. Will Decker leads us off in the bottom of the 4th. His bat has caught fire. We talked about the fact that Decker took a couple of years off professional baseball, which could explain why it took him some time to get going. Basically, anybody that takes a year off of baseball will struggle, and that accounts for nearly everybody in the Atlantic League, with the exception of a couple of Japanese guys that play in the Japanese League. The American Association also played a couple of games last year, but for the most part, these guys have not played for a while. Decker has even more of an excuse to take some time, and he has really proved himself to be a guy that can speed up quickly. Now riding a 4-game hit streak after his base hit earlier in the contest. Joe DeLuca stands on deck. DeLuca to be followed by Michael Baca before turning the lineup back over. The pitch from Welch, who works into his 4th inning, misses. Welch toeing the rubber, coming home with the pitch. Outside again. And the count 2 balls and a strike. The Revs played at a trio back in the top of the 1st inning. 2 runs came in on a Carlos Franco double, and another came in on a Wellington Dotel RBI single. Southern Maryland played at 2 with 2 outs as Josh McAdams hit a line drive home run. Chopper to the right side, easy play for the second baseman, Jan Sanchez. And 1 is away here in this bottom of the 4th. That makes way for Joe DeLuca. DeLuca also with a hit to this point in the contest. Welch's pitching velocity has more or less stayed the same throughout the night. He started, Stevie, at 88 miles an hour. Right now he's hovering right around 87.
You like a pitcher that's able to stay consistent. His arm doesn't get tired as he gets into these later innings.
You know, one of my favorite sports stats of all time is Joe DeLuca. It's a looping liner to center, but right at Darian Sanford, who drifts to his right, and a 1-pitch out number 2. But one of my favorite stats in all of baseball has always been guys like Justin Verlander back in his Tigers days that would start the game at 95, 96 and finish the game at 99, 100. I mean, and he's a guy in his prime, not his second prime, his first prime.
Yeah, I was about to say his first prime with the Tigers.
Was pitching 7 innings a night. So, I mean, that's a guy on his 100th pitch is finally reaching his max velocity. And who knows, maybe if he would have pitched 14 innings, he would have, maybe start him in both games of a doubleheader and see what happens.
I like that. Just able to turn it up a little bit more every inning.
Justin Verlander has the season off due to a Tommy John surgery, but is managed by Dusty Baker, the former manager of both Darrell Thompson and Matt Latos. Not to mention Ken Griffey Jr. makes that list as well. Baker has made his rounds. A pro's pro in the game of baseball. Never have had the chance of meeting Baker, but a team that I used to work for had Baker's son on the team. It was a summer collegiate team. And I was told often that Baker would come to the games and sign autographs and kiss babies, and that it's an analogy.
Whole nine.
It's a pre-COVID analogy. I don't think that one makes its way out of COVID.
I don't think it does either.
Yeah, it's a little strange if you ask me in the first place. Nonetheless, a really nice guy. As a line shot down the left field line. Once again, that Blue Crabs bullpen is moving out of the way. We've talked about how it's kind of an Atlantic League tradition that they don't move, but to be fair, that was coming in pretty hot.
That ball was a foot away from Ryan Caparice's face, and he didn't move.
There was a time in this Atlantic League I've watched multiple people actually get hit by the baseball just so they didn't have to move, as Michael Baca bloops a 2-out single into left, which flips the lineup back to the top for Zach Collier. Collier comes up to the plate. 0 for 1 to this point, also walked. We mentioned a little bit of Zach Collier's career earlier, but let's dive a little bit deeper into it. Collier's a guy that is a pro's pro and has been playing professional baseball for quite some time. He was originally a first-round draft pick by the Philadelphia Phillies. He was a supplemental draft pick. He is a guy that plays the game of baseball the right way. This time loops one to the right and is caught by the right fielder. Coming up with it this time is Rashad Crawford, which gets us through 4 innings of baseball. The Blue Crabs get a hit in the inning, leave one on base, and we head into the top of the 5th as Grafer Aregua comes out for his 2nd inning of work when we return on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. To the top of the 5th we go. We take you into the frame. Leading us off, Carlos Franco, who has 2 RBIs and a double to this point in the contest. On deck, Wellington Dotel, Rashad Crawford in the hole. First pitch from Grafer Aregua, fouled to the left side. And the count, no balls and a strike. Let's look back a little bit at Grafer Aregua's career tonight. The reason we're focusing so much on everybody's past this evening is because it is the anniversary of the MLB draft night here at Regency Furniture Stadium. Aregua, 27 years old, was signed as an international free agent by the Chicago Cubs back in 2012. Aregua reached as high as South Bend with the Cubs as an absolute moonshot is hit to the right side. That ball will leave the ballpark. To the right side, coming right over that Silver Diner sign. And Stevie, to avoid talking about this home run, I'm going to ask you, have you ever been to Silver Diner before?
I have not been to Silver Diner, but they were nice enough to give us some food yesterday for all the interns here at Regency Furniture Stadium, and a solid 7 out of 10.
So I went there for the first time the other day.
Okay.
And, it was better than I expected in terms of, they have like a regional chef that gets local food with they had a Benedict eggs. They had a crab cake eggs Benedict and stuff like that. So
that sounds good.
Now that Stevie and I have to face the music, the score is 6-2 Revs.
That ball was a nuke off the bat.
It was well struck, to say the least. Aregua, originally signed as an international free agent by the Chicago Cubs, reached as high as High A South Bend in 2016. He then transitioned to the Inland Empire 66ers, the High A affiliate of the Los Angeles Angels. In fact, one of my good friends from high school, Stevie, who I played baseball with in high school, was drafted in the 3rd round by the Angels and is currently on the Inland Empire 66ers.
Good for him.
Hot shot up the middle. And the Revs stay hot. As we knew coming into this series, when you're playing the York Revolution, Stevie, you're generally not going to beat them with defense because it's basically like playing against a potent scorer in basketball. You just want to limit the rest of the team. So if you're playing the Revs, to limit them, you need to A, limit the damage, but B, just outscore them.
Outscore them.
You're not going to beat them in a pitcher's duel unless Daryl Thompson's pitching.
Absolutely not. This team is absolutely going to hit you where you are not standing.
We mentioned Daryl Thompson gets the start tomorrow night. The right-hander has been nothing short of fantastic, but to be honest with you, that's not much of a surprise. We expected that from the reigning Atlantic League Pitcher of the Year, Daryl Thompson. Thompson, the right-hander. Mike Devine, another right-hander, gets the start in the series finale on Thursday. Thursday also, we'll see the Blue Crabs take the field as the Blue Cheeses for the first time. It includes an all-you-can-eat and drink beer and wing buffet in the Legends Club. As another baseball is well struck to the alley. A diving play from Jake Lucci, extending into the warning track. He has been an absolute specimen to watch this 2021 season on the defensive side of the baseball.
Jake Lucci has absolutely locked down that left side of the outfield this season. I believe that's 3 diving plays already this season, just at home.
And it's important to mention that none of them are forced dives, right?
Yeah,
they're all necessary.
Yeah, they are needed.
Sometimes you don't really need to dive.
But it looks cooler. So
Right.
You
It does,
anyways.
and you do anyways.
I did it last night in softball. I'm not kidding you. I dove on a ball I did not need to.
I didn't know you played softball last night.
I do.
No, I didn't know you played last night.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
Yes, I had a game. I got home at midnight. That was fun.
Well, we had the day off yesterday, as did the Blue Crabs. Aregua's offering fouled to the right side off of the bat of Melky Mesa. After a couple years in the Angels organization, Grayfer Aregua made his independent debut after 7 seasons in the minor league affiliated system. Another hot shot to the right side. Zach Collier ranges back. And another beautiful defensive play from this Southern Maryland outfield. Stevie, anybody that's ever pitched in their life in the game of baseball knows that having a good outfield behind you can settle so many nerves, because anytime that ball is well struck, your first thought is, oh no. No matter who's out there, even if it's short, not even that well hit.
That there's no other answer. The only reaction you have is, oh no.
But then when you turn around and you see a
Jake Lucci out there in left
you're
field.
like, oh man, thank you. I grew up, one of my buddies played sports with him all throughout my life. He was always the center fielder for our teams, and he also ran track.
So he was the fastest
very
kid on the
fast.
team.
Yes. So that was always a good sight to look back to. The pitch from Aregua. Fastball overpowers Jan Sanchez. And the 3 times we've seen Aregua rear back and fire tonight, it has been very successful. 5-1 the score. Make that 5-2 the score. The entire Atlantic League had the day off yesterday as Aregua works around what could have been more Revs runs. The score now 6-2. York Revolution on top of the Blue Crabs as we take you in to the bottom of the 5th inning. We're halfway through this contest. A little bit of breeze starting to roll into Regency Furniture Stadium. And we'll be right back on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. Ken Blackstone leads us off here in the bottom of the 5th inning. We're halfway through this game of baseball. 2 hours into it, but it has not felt like that. It has gone awfully quick. We have seen 7 runs scored so far in this game. Make that 8 runs scored so far in this game in total. But side.
As the 2-2 count now to Blackstone. And Welch with the pitch. He takes his time on the mound. Finally gets into his windup. Breaking ball. Tried to hit that outer half of the strike zone, but it just stayed a little bit too far out as the count runs full on Blackstone. Kent got himself into a full count back in the first when he struck out on a ball he did not like. It looked to be a little bit too low.
Blackstone swings and misses at a high and outside fastball. And he chased that one just a little bit to make way for Dario Pisano.
Pisano having himself a good night so far. 2 for 2 with 2 singles scored in the first. And then got out on a fielder's choice off of Josh McAdams' ground ball back in the third.
Pisano has been a little bit hit or miss to this point in the season. I just got on the Facebook stream and saw that we have 13 comments on our Facebook page, but none of them suggestions for what the wager should be for the Charleston Senior Living Community bingo game. So we're still looking for some of those. Now, that was just on Facebook. We may have some more on YouTube as Pisano takes inside.
Crustacean Nation, if there's any time when we need you, it's right now. I want to see Andrew do something embarrassing.
And to that point, I'd like to see Stevie do the same. Thank you to all 50 of our viewers right now that are across both of our streaming platforms. Pisano did offer on that pitch. And I will also say we have 13 comments on the opposing broadcast, on the YouTube broadcast. And one of the suggestions I don't mind that much, actually, Stevie, a pie in the face.
That's pretty solid, Doesn't really harm anyone. But
maybe we could get it from a local sponsor. Not a bad idea.
We could. Any local bakeries nearby would like to give us a pie.
It's true. Anybody have any suggestions for the best bakeries in Southern Maryland? Give us a suggestion, and we'd be more than happy to explore those options.
Also, now we're on the topic. What's your favorite kind of pie?
Not much of a fruit guy when it comes to
desserts.
Desserts. But I do like some fruity pies. As Pisano walks on 5 pitches, making way for Josh McAdams. I think I like, honestly, some chocolatey pies, like an Oreo, something that's not that sophisticated, but I think it's good, so I don't really care.
So a child's pie.
A child's pie, indeed.
I like that. Not necessarily an insult. I just like the way that sounded.
I bet you like chicken pot pies. I bet that's your pie of choice.
Hey, listen, not my pie of choice, but a good chicken pot pie will go a long way.
So what is your pie of choice?
I'm a big lemon meringue guy.
Oh, I don't like that.
All right, well, anyways, now the pitch.
McAdams takes off the outer corner. McAdams does have a hit to this point in the contest. Blue Crab's third baseman wears number 7 on the back of his jersey. As Southern Maryland chasing a 6-2 deficit. Ball on a strike, the count. McAdams 1 for 2 with a run scored, a homer and 2 RBIs to this point. McAdams' homer earlier in this contest scored the only 2 Blue Crabs runs of the game. It was also his first home run since opening day back on May 28th in Charleston, West Virginia against the West Virginia Power. Southern Maryland started this season with 6 straight games, make that 7 straight games on the road, all against brand new teams to the Atlantic League. The Atlantic League adding 3 new teams this season. How about 4 new teams over the last 2 seasons? As McAdams swings through a Welch pitch on the outside corner. And Welch is a guy that did not strike out anybody in his first outing, but has now struck out 5 Blue Crabs batters as Blake Bivens warms up in the Blue Crabs bullpen. And that would knock another peg off of our bingo cards we're looking for.
One of them being 4 or more pitchers in a game. I'm still waiting on the Revolution to put a pitcher in the bullpen, because that crosses another one off for me.
To this point in the game, I would say the winner has to be pie in the face.
I agree. I think that's a pretty solid one. Especially if we can use that as an opportunity to promote a local bakery.
This is true. Lucci pops one to the left side. It will be caught in foul territory to retire the bottom of the 5th inning. York on top by a score of 6-2. They've scored in 5 of their 6 innings to this point. Grafer Aregua back out on the mound when we return on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. Into the top of the 6th we go. Grafer Aregua out for his 3rd inning of work to this point. He entered with 1 down back in the top of the 4th inning. And the first batsman that he'll face is Darian Sanford. We know the speed he possesses. He's already stolen a base and bunted for a single to this point in the game.
1 for 2 on the day for him. Was hit by a pitch in the first batter of the game, and then struck out swinging in the top of the 2nd inning.
We've already seen more home runs in this contest than we've seen at a Blue Crabs home game to this point in the season. You're in the 4th Blue Crabs home game. We're only in the top of the 6th inning. We've already seen 3 home runs. 1 from Josh McAdams, another from Carlos Castro of the Revs, and another from the Revs off the bat of Carlos Franco. Fastball catches the outside corner. The count runs up to 2 balls and a strike. Aregua proving his worth and working past 2 innings of work. with just one more out. We mentioned in most of his appearances to this point, he has not pitched too deep because he's been placed in later in games. Sam Burton had a thumb injury earlier in this game that forced him out back in the 4th inning. He really started dealing with it in the 3rd. Count runs full at 3-2, and again, the last thing you ever want to do is allow Sanford a free pass to first. And that is what Aregua will not do. That pitch looked to be a little outside, but the robo-ump calls it strike number 3, and Grafer Aregua will take it and run with it. 1 down here in the top of the 6th.
There's just another one of those situations where, as a batter, you want to turn around to the umpire and ask where it missed, but that track man behind that electronic scoreboard makes the calls now.
So that gives way to Edwin Figuera, the shortstop number 4. Figuera, to this point in the contest, 1 for 2 with a run scored. First pitch from Aregua will miss outside. Now, we definitely have seen significant improvements in the TrackMan this season, and I'm not even talking about calls in particular. I'm just talking about the technology. It is a completely new and updated system, the most up-to-date system in existence. In addition to that, one of the biggest complaints about TrackMan in 2019 was a relatively valid argument at times, which was that there was a pause between the strike and the actual call from the umpire, as McAdams, while pacing backwards, makes the throw to first base for out number 2, but that pause seems to have gone away. To be honest with you, that hasn't even crossed my mind at this point in the season.
You're saying the pause in between the pitch coming and then the call being
right.
made?
It very, very early on, there was times in which the pitcher would be into his windup on the next pitch and then all of a sudden strike. So it would be 2 to 3 or 4 seconds.
Gotcha.
But, within a week, those were mostly kinked out, and every now and again, you would see that come into play. The slider misses the outside portion of the strike zone. Ball number 1. The 3-hole hitter, Melky Mesa, up to the plate. And a really good job by Grafer Aregua, quickly setting down each of the first 2 batsmen on this Revolution lineup, considering they're sending out their top 3 in the lineup. A ball and a strike the count to Melky Mesa, the left fielder to this point, 0 for 3 with a strikeout. A curveball bounces on home plate and back into the backstop. 2 balls and a strike the count. Rebs up 6-2 in a game that both sides would desperately like to win. Both teams tied at 3-7 on the season. An appeal to the first base umpire. Bill Worthington said he did not go.
And Joe DeLuca wanted that call. Looked like Melky Mesa might have gone around on it, but instead the call was made.
Aregua sees Melky Mesa foul one to the left side, working the count full. And if you're the Blue Crabs right now, you could seriously use a 1-2-3 inning.
At this point of the game, you're chasing 4 already in the second half. 1, 2, 3 innings from here on out are big helps.
The pitch from Aregua. Hit hard to the left side. Josh McAdams spins, fires. A scoop not able to be made by Dario Pisano.
Nice play over there at third by McAdams. Had himself turned around, took a step, tried to throw, but as you said, scoop over there by Dario Pisano just wasn't able to be made. Now we got a runner on with 2 down in the inning.
So that brings up the cleanup hitter, Nelly Rodriguez. Rodriguez, to this point in the contest, 0 for 3 with a pair of strikeouts tossed. First pitch to the cleanup hitter Rodriguez misses for ball number 1, and that has been somewhat of a theme for the right-hander to this point in the inning. The biggest downfall that you can make on him is simply the fact that he's falling behind in counts early and often. 2-0 the count to Nelly Rodriguez. Again, Nelly Rodriguez, one of the younger players in the Atlantic League, just 26 years old. Although this year, there is some players that are significantly younger than him. And when I say that, I mean more like 23 years old. Originally a 15th round draft pick by the Cleveland Indians in 2012. Played for Team USA when he was 16 and 18 years old. Strike number 1 as the count runs to 3-1. Reached as high as AAA with the Indians, which begs the question, why exactly is it that he's in affiliated baseball? He's not in affiliated baseball. I mean, he's a guy that, again, reached AAA just 2 or 3 years ago. Oftentimes you see guys like that. Braxton Lee was a good example at the start of the season, a guy that had played in the MLB as recently as 2018, but he is one of 35 Atlantic Leaguers to get picked up by an affiliated organization this year. As a hot shot is sent to the right side, back to the track, and it may have bounced over the fence.
It did bounce right on the warning track.
And they'll send Nelly Rodriguez back to second base. That was well struck, and it bounced on the warning track. And that'll put runners at second and third rather than both coming home, so that's quite the break for Grayfer Aregua. The 5-hole hitter Carlos Franco on the way. Mentioned that Franco played very, very well back in that 2019 season as a member of the York Revolution. Cooled off after a really hot start, but still finished the season faring very, very well. Hit .319 that year, 13 homers, 55 RBIs in 84 games. Started this season even better, worse in batting average, but significantly better in OPS, which, in my opinion, is exponentially more valuable. How about a .487 on base percentage?
Wow.
.536 slugging, both improvements. Almost 100-point improvement in the on-base percentage department. 1.023 OPS to this point in the season. A ball and a strike the count. Hit well to the left side, but well over the Legends Club in left field. And the count, a ball and 2 strikes. 2 runners in scoring position. The Revs on top 6-2 here in the top of the 6th inning. Still more action in the Blue Crabs bullpen. Stan Clyburn is hoping he can save Blake Bivens for the 7th inning. A changeup down and away. Bails Grayfer Aregua out of this inning. He smiles, nods, and takes it on the shoulder. Why not with runners at second and third? Couple strikeouts in the inning for Aregua. A scoreless frame takes us into the bottom of the 6th. Right here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. Into the bottom of the 6th we go. On the brink of entering the latter third of this contest, Southern Maryland could really start using that run support that they saw in the bottom of the 1st. Southern Maryland played it a pair on a Josh McAdams homer back in the bottom of the 6th, make that the bottom of the 1st inning. And it all came with 2 outs. As I believe we're going to see a pinch hitter here. Jordan Scott comes into the game for the Blue Crabs. Scott taking the place of the designated hitter, Jake Marshall. So, of course, that's part of the Atlantic League MLB rule changes, the double hook rule. You know, that would be where it would be very, very valuable to have a two-way player. If you could use him as a reliever and not really have to give up a spot in the lineup or burn your bench. You know, I think that really came to a head a couple nights ago. I believe it was on Saturday night when Southern Maryland had 8 players in their 8-hole at some point in the game.
Subbed in, it was, 4 pitchers and 4 DHs at one point?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the goal of the rule is to try to encourage starting pitchers to make it deeper into ball games. But to be honest, as a pop out to the second baseman, Jan Sanchez puts out number 1. To be honest, in my opinion, it's simply seen everybody just burning their benches, which in some respects, you know, gives you makes it more important to have a deeper bench, but that's not the goal or all that important, particularly in the Atlantic League, even though they're just seeing how it works so they can, see if it would be a good one to implement in MLB. But nonetheless, as Decker strikes one to center field, here comes Darian Sanford, a running Jan Sanchez. Covered a whole lot of ground and then just didn't stop. As a nice play. That looked like it was probably Sanford's ball off the bat. A little bit more shallow, and honestly, I'm surprised that Sanchez was able to get to it. I was almost certain if Sanford didn't, then nobody would.
Sanchez kind of looked like me out there. Not the play, but not being able to stop once you start running.
Ah, gotcha. Joe DeLuca up to the plate. DeLuca does have a hit in this contest so far. The switch hitting catcher, 1 for 2. He had a double earlier in the contest. This one struck high to the shortstop. Figuera coming under it and catches. So how about a 5-pitch inning here in the bottom of the 6th? Really tight ball game. It's becoming even tighter as this game goes on. As we take you into the top of the 7th inning here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. Someone with the We lead you in to this top of the 7th inning. Into the final third of this contest we go. 6-2 the score. 9 hits for the Revs. 6 for the Blue Crabs. Southern Maryland with a fielding error to this point in the contest. A clean defensive card for the York Revolution. Wellington Dotel leads us off as we take you into the top of the 7th. The new arm on the mound for the Blue Crabs. It is Blake Bivens, who struggled in his last outing and will look to rebound here this evening.
Blake Bivens in his last outing saw 6 batters, walked 5 of them, and then gave up a hit. And that was all Darryl Thompson needed to see. He pulled him out of the game to bring somebody else in. So he's looking to do a little better than he did the other day against Long Island.
On his way with the pitch is Bivens. A curveball misses downstairs for ball number 1. Bivens, another guy, kind of like we were talking about Nelly Rodriguez. Bivens is a guy that is very young compared to the average person in this league, I should say. As Dotel takes a healthy hack and misses. But Bivens is a guy that has played in affiliated ball very recently, was a high draft pick. Most recently in 2019 was at the AA level with the Montgomery Biscuits. In his career in the minors over 6 seasons with the Rays, he went 26-14 with a 3.34 ERA. McAdams, with a nice defensive play over there at third, rings Ron Lord's cowbell and gives us the first out at this top of the 7th.
You see McAdams took another quick little half a second there to make sure his throw was on a line after that throwing error the last time he got a ball. But a nice way to start the top of the 7th inning.
That brings up the right fielder, Rashad Crawford. Crawford to face off against Blake Bivens, who has to be happy about recording that first out quickly. In 2018, Rashad Crawford reached AAA Scranton Wilkesboro for 6 games. In 2014, he was a mid-season All-Star with the Boise affiliate of the Cubs. Big swing, big miss. And the count evens at a ball and a strike here with 1 down.
Crawford 0 for 2 in 3 plate appearances today as he walked in the first. Then had a strikeout and a fly ball to Jake Lucci. His other 2 at-bats.
6-2 the score. Bivens misses downstairs. Mentioned Bivens, a high draft pick. He's also a DMV native. The right-hander was drafted by the Tampa Bay Rays in the 4th round of the 2014 MLB draft out of George Washington High School in Danville, Virginia. I don't believe Danville is too close to the greater Washington, D.C. area, but I guess this is a question that would be better for you.
Okay, we'll see. But
Well, I'm not from around here, so if somebody says the DMV, what if they're from, 6 hours away in Virginia? Does that still count?
that's the V in the DMV.
I know, but I just didn't know if it was the...
I mean, technically, yes. That's still a part of Virginia, so it is in the
But
DMV.
if somebody's... Would they
Yeah.
say I'm from the DMV?
See, in that instance, I don't think so. Because at that point, you're so far away from D.C. I think that's how it works. In relation to D.C., how close you are, that's what considers what the DMV is for you. I think all of Maryland, since it's so small of a state, can be considered part of the DMV. But as you're talking about that lower, far corner of Virginia, that's a little far away.
Strike number 3 looking. Sets down Rashad Crawford. Two quick outs for Blake Bivens. Makes way for the next man up, Carlos Castro, who homered earlier in this contest. Bivens looking for 3 quick outs as rain suddenly starts to fall here in Southern Maryland. Big swing, big miss. The count runs up to a ball and a strike. We were expecting rain at some point this season. Excuse me, yes, this season. But this evening is the first time that we've seen rain here in Southern Maryland during a game, as this ball well struck to the left side right at Jake Lucci. And just like that, we head into the 7th inning stretch. Stevie, again, I'll give you the option.
You know what? Let's do it today.
All right,
You know
let's
what?
do it. Let's turn the camera around.
All right, we can do that. That's fine. Excuse me. Now, some of you that haven't read my bio
And go ahead and just
on the
flip the
Southern
light
Maryland
on
website.
for us.
I got you. Hey, some of you that haven't read my bio on the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs website, I was a former a cappella president at Salisbury University, but no promises this sounds good. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back, for it's root for the Blue Crabs. If they don't win, it's a shame, for it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Thank you. Thank you very much.
A beautiful rendition of Take Me Out to the Ball Game by our very own Stevie Bowen. We'll give you a second to rest the vocal cords.
Thank you. I needed that.
We'll head into a break before coming right back on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. We welcome you back inside the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. Just like that, Stevie, I looked up for the first time since you were singing, and guess what? It stopped raining.
Hey!
So we'll take that. That's a pretty good sign for the rest of the
rain,
contest.
Go away, and my vocals are here to stay.
This is true. As Michael Baca takes us into the bottom of the 7th. A new arm into the game for the York Revolution. A bloop shot to the right side, a dive, and it's off the outstretched glove of the York Revolution right fielder who dived, and Rashad Crawford was not quite able to make it to that baseball. And that's the type of breaks you need if you're Southern Maryland with 9 outs remaining to work with, 4 to make up. That's the type of break you're going to need to look for, especially in a situation where you have your 9-hole hitter up, you can turn it back to the top of the lineup, and then good things will happen.
And as you said, that really is what you want in your 9-hole hitter. Able to get on with a base hit so your leadoff guy can come in and continue the rally.
Collier attended Chino Hills High School in California. Same high school as Lonzo and LaMelo Ball. A little bit before them, though, Collier drafted out of Chino's Hills in 2008 in the first round. Collier was acquired from the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs in the New Britain Bees dispersal draft when they no longer were a member of the Atlantic League. The way it works is there's a draft of all of their players. He is the only player that Southern Maryland ended up actually signing out of that draft. Part of the reason for that being that the draft was in 2019. A lot has happened in the world since then. So we did end up losing a couple of players. Jason Phillips, one of them, a incredibly high power hitting first baseman. Collier sees a fastball high and away. And that'll make the count a ball and a strike. You're not thinking about stealing first base at all if you're Michael Bach, are you?
I don't know. Michael Bach has shown us before he has enough speed, but I think at this point in the game, you need to be aggressive, but at the same time, you need to be smart on the base paths. So I think
really good move out there.
very good move from the pitcher Rodriguez.
Alberto Rodriguez, 6'1", a right-hander, 225 out of Havana, Cuba. Currently resides in Tampa, Florida. Offers a changeup that misses off the inner edge. The count works into Collier's favor, 2-1. Rodriguez, last played for the Atlantic League Road Warriors. Are you familiar with the Road Warriors?
I am. We played the Road Warriors Black Sox in spring training, correct? Or was that a different
We
type of
did,
team?
but it's a different Road Warriors.
Okay.
So
See, I'm still fairly new to all these Atlantic League types of teams.
this is fair.
Yes.
This is fair. So the
And another very good pickoff move by Rodriguez. He is not letting Baca rest over there.
The other rendition, or the rendition I'm referring to of the Road Warriors, is the Atlantic League Road Warriors,
Okay.
which is when a team is forced to fold or leave the Atlantic League. Generally, you can't just build a ballpark in a year or find somebody that has an empty ballpark in a matter of months. This ball hit well to center field off the bat of Zach Collier, but right at Darian Sanford for out number one. So you need to give somebody a year at least to build a baseball stadium. A couple of examples of that would be the High Point Rockers in 2018. When the Bridgeport Bluefish folded, the Rockers spent the 2018 season building their stadium in High Point, North Carolina.
Very nice stadium now.
Beautiful. In 2019, when the New Britain Bees folded, the Gastonia Honey Hunters had 2 years to build their stadium. By the way, I would urge you to visit the Blue Crabs Facebook or Twitter and check out ESPN SportsCenter. Just did a featured piece, which is where they do their feature stories of the day, and they aired it on SportsCenter, and it was a dive into the Gastonia Honey Hunter owner Brandon Bellamy.
Oh, I did see this.
It was incredible. Yes. He's the only black owner in all of baseball and the only black sports owner in America outside of Michael Jordan. So
wow.
It's pretty incredible. Magic Johnson came to their opening day, so really cool stuff going. Well. I mean, they're doing a great job. I would again urge you to look at that. The other two teams that joined our league came in a unfamiliar fashion, at least for the Atlantic League standards, considering we've never, to my knowledge, taken an affiliated team and turned them into an Atlantic League team. That's exactly what happened with the West Virginia Power and the Lexington Legends. There is a lot of reports out there, Stevie, that we're going to get another one next year right here in the state of Maryland.
Really?
The Hagerstown Suns. There you go. There has been reports that they have been approved to become an Atlantic League team.
Now, would they be staying the Hagerstown Suns, or would they be rebranding into a different team?
That would be totally up to them.
Yeah, well, that's fair, of course.
Since they're not necessarily named, as this one, a broken bat chopper to the second baseman, Jan Sanchez, as he flips onto first for out number 2. Considering that their name isn't the Yankees or, or in their case, the Orioles. I think they'd be able to do that.
Yeah.
Unless the
Just stay
Orioles
the
still
same.
have the rights. Although the Lexington Legends and the West Virginia Power kept their names when they flipped over. So, to my point, both of them were affiliated teams and joined. The Atlantic League president, Rick White, has said that he intends to expand this league into a 10 and then 12-team league over the next year and then 3 years, respectively. The Atlantic League's radius shortened this year. The reason we added 2 teams, technically 3 this year, was that the Somerset Patriots and the Sugar Land Skeeters both became affiliated baseball teams, which is really incredibly impressive considering 42 teams were cut from affiliation. So that, if you think about it, 42 teams are cut. It had to have been more like 43, 44, 45 when 3 independent teams became affiliated. So it's pretty interesting that the Somerset Patriots became the Double-A affiliate of the New York Yankees.
So now I have a question regarding that. So say the Blue Crabs next year become an affiliate team. Would every player on the Blue Crabs then be considered a low A player?
No, nope.
Yes.
So it's a completely. The only thing that stays the same is, in some cases, the front office, and it depends on some of the terms of purchase. As Michael Baca makes his way over to third base, but the only thing that would ever stay would be some of the front office members.
Okay.
Marketing people, things of that nature. Even the manager doesn't stay. Because it's these guys, all the, Adley Rushman and all these guys coming up under, in the minor league system, they already have all these people in place that need to go up.
Yeah.
Now, they could certainly purchase some Blue Crabs, but I haven't ever heard of that particular situation happening. But it's an interesting thing. Sugar Land Skeeters became AAA affiliate of the Houston Astros, and another independent team to get purchased, the St. Paul Saints of the American Association, became the AAA affiliate of the Minnesota Twins. 2 balls and a strike the count. As Dario Pisano tries to cut this lead in half. Southern Maryland currently trailing 6-2 here in the bottom of the 7th. Pisano swings on a knee, tagged out with the bare hand by the catcher Carlos Castro. And Southern Maryland strands a runner at third base to bring us into the top of the 8th. We'll be right back with that and much more right here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. Ryan Caparese takes us into this top of the 8th inning of baseball. We're nearing on the 3-hour mark, but I'll tell you, Stevie, this has been a fun baseball game to watch.
You know, despite the score, Crabs losing by 4 runs, but you're right, this has been a good one to watch.
York up 6-2 as Ryan Caparese's first pitch chopped to the left side. Jan Sanchez trying to leg it out, but unable to. Michael Baca tosses across the infield for a 1-pitch, out number 1.
And that shortstop put out helps me add another marking on my bingo card.
What does that give you? 6-4? I guess that's a 6-3 put out. I can't find mine. I just found it. But what we're talking about is, of course, the Charleston Senior Living Community Baseball Bingo card. Playing that in honor of our Silver Sluggers night here at Regency Furniture Stadium. Caparese catches for strike number 1. I don't think I'm going to get a blackout on my bingo card. Are you?
Unless the Blue Crabs score 5 runs in the next 2 innings, I'm not going to black it out either.
You know, technically I would have had a first baseman put out because there has been many of them.
Oh, I had one of those in the first inning. There was a pop out to foul territory.
Oh, well then I'll take that. Caparese misses outside, 2-1 the count. Caparese, number 46. He's pitched a couple of times this season for Southern Maryland. Stevie's got all the numbers on him.
Caparese, 2 appearances for him so far this year, 4 1/3 innings pitched. Gave up 7 hits, 4 runs, all of them earned runs. Had 8 strikeouts and 5 walks in those 2 appearances.
Darian Sanford digs into the box, 2-2 the count, as you say. Southern Maryland's bullpen has been pretty good this evening. As a changeup misses low and away, 3-2 the count. For Southern Maryland, they had to really lean on their bullpen this evening. Sam Burton was taken out after 3 1/3 with a thumb injury. He finished 3 1/3 innings, 6 hits, 5 runs, 4 earned, a walk and 6 strikeouts. As Sanford dodges out of the way at danger for ball number 4.
Now you have to think about it, Andrew. Sam Burton was not doing poorly on the mound. If he stays in the game, does the score of this game change?
I think it does. Because he was, after allowing 3 runs back in that first inning, he had really settled into a groove. Mm-hmm. And then, the thumb injury kind of derailed his evening. I thought he was pitching pretty darn well after those 3 runs in the first. Southern Maryland responded with 2 of their own in the first. It was on a 2-out Josh McAdams 2-run home run. The next scoring in the contest wouldn't come until the top of the 4th inning when the Revs played at 2 and another 1 in the 5th. That puts us up to a 6-2 ball game. Sanford with his second steal of the contest. And how about the 5th Revolution stolen base of this game? And he's a guy that, when traded to the York Revolution from the Lancaster Barnstormers, there was simply no question. If he could do one thing, it was to get on and steal bases. He can do much more than that, but there's no question that he can do those things and do those things better than just about anybody in the game of baseball. High and tight from Caparese. High chin music to Edwin Figuera. Figuera, to this point in the ballgame, 1 for 3 with a run scored. How about he's hitting .409 on the season?
Very solid for him so far this season.
The count, 2 balls, no strikes to Edwin Figuera. Look back from Caparese. The pitch, low and away, 3-0 the count. DeLuca behind the dish, giving him the calls. Running through a couple more of the lines for Southern Maryland's pitchers this evening. After Burton's 3 1/3, Oregua went 2 2/3. Oregua's pitch high and away. A 4-pitch walk puts 2 on with 1 down. So Oregua goes 2 2/3, 3 hits, 1 run. It was earned, no walks, 4 strikeouts. The Revs batters have struck out 11 times this evening. That's to compare to just 6 for the Blue Crabs. Bivens came after Oregua. He went 1 inning. No hits, runs, walks, but he did strike out 1. And now we come to Caparise, who has 2 walks to this point in the inning and has recorded an out. Number 46 with a look back to second. A curveball in there for strike number 1. You know, Caparise has some of the best hair in the Atlantic League.
Agreed.
There's no question about that.
No question. Absolutely not.
He has long black and blonde hair that comes well out of his hat, almost Troy Polamalu-esque. As Sanford goes on the pitch, but it gets away from DeLuca. Sanford, if he would not have slid into third, most likely would have came home and scored.
Yeah, I was going to say, if he didn't slide, I think he would have easily made it home.
And that's
honestly,
7.
Might have been able to stand up at third on that steal anyways. He got an amazing jump on it.
That's 7 stolen bases for the Revs in this game, 3 for Darian Sanford. And that was a masterful piece of running for Sanford, who has 2 stolen bases in this inning, by the way. This one comes up and hits Melky Mesa in the elbow, and that does not feel good. He has a protector on his left elbow, but it kind of came in and got him on the right elbow.
It looked like it came around. I thought it got him on the hand, on the bottom, or on the top part of that bat, because that ball came high and in on him. But either way, not a fun spot to get hit.
Yeah, and I'm now double thinking the fact that it did hit his elbow. Maybe it was a foul ball off his hand. That very well could be.
See, to me, it looked like that ball kept going up and in and hit him close to the hands. But also
it very well could have.
He might have gone around on a swing, but I don't think they're going to appeal it.
So Mesa continues to stroll down to first base. And a long talk between Joe DeLuca, Ryan Caparise, and the 3 umpires, Larry Rosenberg, Bill Worthington, and John Ramsey. Stan Clyburn right out there with them. He'd like an explanation on that as to whether it did hit his hand or his elbow. I don't know that they'll change their call now that they've made it as the issue.
I think too much time has passed at this point. There's no point in going back and changing it.
Caparise looks on. It is out of his hands at this point. It's up to the 3 umpires huddled in between third base and the pitcher's mound. Let's take a look back to this point in the game. The Revs played at 3 in the top of the first. 2 coming off a Carlos Franco double, and another coming from Wellington Dotel. Southern Maryland hit a 2-run homer in the bottom of the first, as the umpires will say that did indeed hit his elbow. Stan Clyburn would like an explanation, and rightfully so. Clyburn is also going to have a word with his pitcher, Ryan Caparise. In fact, he may just talk to his whole infield. The next time a run scored was in the top of the 4th inning. That was when the Revs put on another pair before adding one more in the 5th. There's a lot of early action. 5 of the 8 runs scored in this contest came in the first inning. And I believe Stan Clyburn may have been issued a warning there.
It looked like Stan Clyburn was a little upset coming out of that dugout. It looked like he wanted that call to be a foul ball.
And I think there's certainly some merit to that. 6-2 the score. Bases juiced here for the Revs with 1 down as their cleanup hitter, Nelly Rodriguez, comes to the plate. Rodriguez, the everyday first baseman for this Revs team. He's 1 for 4 with a double today. First pitch from Caparese. Fastball in there for strike number one. And that's exactly how you rebound after 2 walks and a hit batsman. That pitch at 89 miles an hour. A fastball well outside, spinning Joe DeLuca like a top. And the count 1-1. Caparese's highest velo to this point was just a shake under 91. We can also give you the final line for the Revs starting pitcher, Jake Welsh. The 1-1 fastball in there for strike number 2. Welsh went 6 innings even, 6 hits, 2 runs, both of them earned. A trio of walks to accompany 5 strikeouts. Alberto Rodriguez has thrown the other Revs inning to this point. Went 1 inning, allowed a hit, no runs, no walks, but a strikeout. 1-2 from Caparese, changeup low and away, well-placed offering, but Rodriguez doesn't bite, and the count evens at 2 balls and as many strikes.
That's a good job by Rodriguez, realizing that he's probably going to try to go out of the zone here with that 0-2 count. Then held off in that ball that was very close to the strike zone.
2-2 from Caparese on its way. A curveball just misses, and with the bases juiced, the young right-hander would most likely want that call, but to be fair, the robot umpire truly has been calling it both ways today.
That is true.
So even if it is making some calls we don't deem to be accurate, we know with certainty that there is a lot of consistency as Ryan Caparese rears back, lets it fire, and Nelly Rodriguez swings on and misses. It's exactly what the doctor ordered if you're Stan Clyburn and the Blue Crabs. And that's the 4th time in this game that we've seen a Blue Crabs reliever just say, you know what? I don't care what happens. I'm throwing it as hard as I can. And all 4 times it worked.
It seems to be working from this point on. If only it was physically possible for someone to throw absolutely as hard as they can for 100 pitches straight.
First pitch to the 5-hole hitter, Carlos Franco, misses for ball number 1. It was, in fact, the fastest pitch of the evening for Ryan Caparese. 91.2 miles an hour on the gun. Some more action in the Blue Crabs pen. Looks like Dalton Geeky warming. The 1-0 from Caparese, a big hack from Carlos Franco, but he was just over it.
Franco looking to do the same thing he did back in the 5th inning as he led off with that home run.
Franco, number 13 on the back of the black and gray Revs uniforms. A cutter misses a little bit outside. The count 2 balls and a strike to Franco. It's a friendly count for a hitter. Tomorrow night, I know I'm pumped for this, and I think you are too. It's the first Wagon Wednesdays where you
Very
can,
excited.
I mean, free admission for dogs, and even accepting dogs into a baseball stadium is really cool.
Very cool thing to see. I'm very excited to see our tailed friends coming in here tomorrow.
And you know, it would be very uncool to allow dogs into the park and charge them admission. We're not doing that.
I actually heard dog tickets are more expensive than human ones.
Not here, they're not.
In most stadiums.
Wow. A 2-2 fastball from Ryan Caparese. He thought that was the moneymaker, but it missed low and away, and the count runs full. All 3 Revs on base will likely go on the pitch. A lot of speed on the base paths. Darian Sanford at third. Edwin Figuera at second. Melky Mesa at first. Fastball. Does it catch? Not quite. Joe DeLuca sure thought it did, but it misses inside for ball number 4, and it brings home a Revs run.
Those last 2 pitches from Caparese, I don't know where they missed.
Yeah, those were awfully close, and he had him on either side of the strike zone. A pinch hitter is going to come up for the York Revolution. MLB veteran Josh Vitters will come to the plate. A native of Anaheim, California. Last played in Quebec. 7-2 the score. Revs on top. First pitch to Vitters, in there for strike number one. Vitters played in the MLB in 2012. Get this, he was the 3rd overall draft pick back in 2007.
Wow.
So whenever we see one of those, I always like to see who was drafted right around him. David Price was the 1st overall draft pick. 2nd, Mike Moustakas. 3rd, Josh Vitters. Matt Wieters went to the Orioles 5th that year. Madison Bumgardner to the Giants 10th.
Jason Hayward?
Hayward to the Braves. Not a ton more names in the 1st round, but Rick Porcello.
Todd Frazier to the Reds.
Ben Revere, another guy. He played many years in the MLB before becoming the hitting coach for the Lexington Legends of the Atlantic League.
And there's University of Maryland alum Brett Cecil as well.
Sean Doolittle, to name another. Chopper to the left side. Going to be a tough play for McAdams. Rides up on the heel of his glove and brings home another Revolution run to make it 8-2 here in this top of the 8th inning. So Vitters brings a run home. Most likely will go down as a base hit. Wait for the official call on that, but that's what I would imagine.
And we did just get confirmed that is going to be a base hit. As even if McAdams fielded that ball cleanly, I do not think he had Vitters at first.
So Caparise allows 2 Revs runs here in this 8th inning. In the frame to the point. Caparise has walked 3 batters, allowed 2 earned runs, also hit a batter. Make that hit 2 batters. The pitch from Caparise outside, and the count 2 balls and no strikes. 8-2 the score. York leading the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs here in the top of the 8th inning. And a game that has been awfully exciting to watch. This the first real lull in action here in this inning, and even it has had its excitement. Dalton Geeky continues to warm down there in that Blue Crabs bullpen. As Caparise looks to stop the bleeding here in the top of the 8th. Bases juiced. 2 down. A chase on a high and away fastball. Bails out Ryan Caparise. The count 2-2 to Rashad Crawford. Crawford to this point in the contest. 0 for 3. He did get on base via the walk. He's also struck out 2 times. Caparise on his way. Will miss outside, and yet another full count here with the bases loaded for Ryan Caparise.
We're going to see all the base runners moving on this pitch.
Caparise comes set, the right-hander with his glove in front of his face. The pitch, a curveball, and it will be fouled away. Not the pitch I was expecting, but it certainly caught the hitter off guard.
And it looked like it was going to be pretty perfectly placed, if I'm not mistaken. If he had let that ball go, that might have landed right on the inner half of that strike zone.
I think you may be right. I mean, I certainly think without a swing, that would have been strike 3. So Wellington Dotel, make that Rashad Crawford gets another chance. And he'll bring home a run with another Ryan Caparise walk, which brings Stan Clyburn out to the mound. That's likely the end of the road for the right-hander. We'll see what Stan ends up doing, but my guess would be he takes that baseball from Ryan Caparise, who is understandably displeased on the mound. Clyburn takes the baseball from Caparese. A long walk back to the dugout. 9-2 the score. The Revs on top. Dalton Geeky on the mound when we return right here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. Coming up to the plate as we take you back in to this top of the 8th inning in which the York Revolution have already seen 3 runs walk home. Dalton Geeky onto the mound for the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs. He'll face off against the catcher, number 33, Carlos Castro. Shiny cleats on the feet of Dalton Geeky, who tries to stop the bleeding, and wow, way ahead of a fastball. What a pitch.
That was a big swing from Carlos Castro. As we said, back in the 4th inning, put one into the bumper boats pool, and he was looking to do the same thing.
Yeah, no kidding. Geeky coming set, knows he's in the driver's seat after that pitch. Another off speed, this one in the dirt for a ball number 1. Still waiting on the velocity. That Geeky first pitch was only called 85 miles an hour. It looked a whole lot slower than that.
It did.
It'll be interesting to see what his fastball is looking like tonight as compared to that. Anytime you can get somewhere between that 8 to 12 range and a miles per hour change on your off speed, it's very valuable. The pitch, a fastball looped into right field. Here comes Will Decker. He'll field on 3 hops. 1 Revs run scores. And here comes another. The cutoff throw from Dario Pisano. And give the Revs 2 more runs here in this top of the 8th inning. Southern Maryland now trailing 11-2. Thanks to 5 Revs runs in this frame. Castro also hit a homer earlier in this contest, so a pretty good game for the catcher. Geeky with a long look home. The pitch fouled back behind our heads here in the Baynet press box. The count 0-1. Up to bat, Jan Sanchez, brand new to this York Revolution team. He wears number 2. Last played at the high A level for the Hillsboro Hops. If you could name a minor league baseball team, Stevie, what would you name it? Depends where it is, I guess. But.
See, I've been thinking about this since the other day. You talked about we need to compile the list of some of like the best minor league teams. I don't know who comes up with them, but whoever does deserves $1 million a year salary.
Oh, I know.
Some of these names, dude, are amazing.
Well, did you get a chance to look some up and compile a couple of favorites off the top of your head?
I mean, off the top of my head, I forget where they're from, but there's one called the Trash Pandas.
The Rocket City Trash Pandas.
That's what it is. Their
the
mascot
best.
logo is just a raccoon popping out of a trash can, and that might be my favorite one.
It's a very, very good one.
That's a very good name.
There's some funny ones. The Rocky Mountain Vibes, another one that comes to mind. Their mascot is very literally just a marshmallow vibing with sunglasses on.
Imagine going to work. Someone goes, "Hey, where are you going?" "I'm just going to go vibe."
Yeah.
You know?
It's true.
That's what it means.
And you would be vibing.
Dude, I'd definitely be vibing at a Vibes game. For sure, dude.
Particularly the name changes are things that really get creative as that ball takes an obscene bounce over Josh McAdams' head. He looks to be not pleased about that, and he can't be blaming that on himself. That was not his fault.
I don't think anybody, even at the major league level, can make that play. That ball was a...
Except maybe Yao Ming.
Yeah, yes, agreed, but he doesn't play baseball.
He does not. You're right about that.
And haven't seen too many 7'7" third basemen.
I wonder who the tallest player in MLB history was. You know,
it's got to be like Randy Johnson height, correct?
Yes.
Because he was, what, 6'6"?
I think he was 6'9".
I was about to say, he was like 6'9".
The Blue Crabs actually had one of the taller players in professional baseball history on their team in 2019. A left-handed pitcher, Adam Choplik, stood at 6'9".
Wow.
An absolute very, very tall man. There is a couple. I did a lot of research on that because of him. A blooper to the right side. Blackstone goes back, calls it and catches it in shallow center field, but not before the York Revolution can double their lead here in this 8th inning. Came into the inning, a 6-2 York lead. They've extended it out to double digits. 12-2 the score. York has now walked 5 times, been hit by batsmen a couple times, and interestingly, they have less hits than they do runs. We'll take you into the bottom of the 8th. Southern Maryland needs some offensive action when we return right here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. Josh McAdams takes us into the bottom of the 8th inning of baseball. The right-handed batting third baseman comes up with some work to do. He'll start things off, and the cleanup hitter sees his squad trailing by 10 runs here in the bottom of the 8th. McAdams 1 for 3 today. He did hit a 2-run home run back in the first. We'll see a new pitcher come into this contest for the York Revolution. The new arm into the game, the left-hander Brandon Fry. Fry with a long set, the pitch to McAdams. Right back up the middle, but a nice play by the second baseman Sanchez. Throws across his body, and a nice defensive play.
Very nice play over there, getting up the middle, because that looked like a base hit easily off the bat for McAdams to start the inning.
I agree. To be honest, it didn't even cross my mind that wouldn't be a base hit. I thought it would just get through, but he didn't even need to dive for that.
Same here. He's just able to backhand it clearly.
The newcomer into the game for the Revs, Brandon Fry, finds himself to this point in the season 0-0. Has appeared in 6 games with a 2.35 ERA. Swing and a miss from Jake Lucci here in this bottom of the 8th inning. Fry in his 8th professional season, first with York, 5th in the Atlantic League. Spent 4 seasons with the New Britain Bees, which means that the first Atlantic League manager to ever sign him was Stan Clyburn when Clyburn was with the Bees. Pop out the left fielder Melky Mesa for out number 2. You know, interestingly enough, when the New Britain Bees became a franchise in 2016, they took Stan Clyburn with them. From the Blue Crabs, I should say.
Okay.
He was the manager of the Blue Crabs at the time as Kevin Watley comes up to the plate to pinch hit. He was the manager of the Blue Crabs, but oftentimes when a new team forms, they ask one of the other teams in the league, or sometimes urge other teams in the league, I believe, to see if they can take some front office members and send some help. So that's exactly what Clyburn did. Came back to the Blue Crabs and has performed exceptionally well. Clyburn will undoubtedly pick up his 1750th win of his professional managerial career, nearing the 2,000 mark. In 2015, in his first year with the Blue Crabs, Clyburn collected his 1,500th managerial win professionally. Got his 1,700th in 2019. You know, Clyburn is a baseball lifer. A guy that said that, you know, this past year during the coronavirus was the first time in, I believe, 49 years that he had not been either playing or coaching or managing professional baseball.
Wow. And that goes down to what do you do during that time when that's all you really know?
It's true. Clyburn is a big outdoorsman, spent a lot of his time with those activities as Watley sees another strike cross. The count works full at 3-2.
You know what Stan Clyburn is a big fan of, and that helps him out here in Southern Maryland, duck hunting.
That is true. He does do that. Fry on his way home with the payoff pitch. Watley up the middle, but again, Jan Sanchez is there. He runs and throws. Throws to first. Nelly Rodriguez catches for out number 3. Southern Maryland down to their final 3 outs of the contest. They'll send Carlos Diaz out to pitch in the top of the 9th. We will take a short break and be right back on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. A new arm onto the mound for the Blue Crabs as we take you into the top of the ninth inning of baseball. The only southpaw on the Blue Crabs pitching rotation. It is Carlos Diaz. First pitch from Diaz hit well to the right side. Nice play by Josh McAdams, firing across the infield. And that shows you right there why that guy's a two-way player.
Josh McAdams has an arm over there at third base.
He throws 93, 94 off the mound.
That's what I'm saying. Hoping to see him getting some time on the mound this season.
That brings up Melky Mesa, left fielder, to this point in the contest. 0 for 4. He did score a run, however. He was hit by a pitch. Nice changeup from the left-hander Diaz as Melky Mesa swings over it for strike number 1. Both of these teams entered play with a 3-7 record. It is their first of, how about this, 25 meetings this year between these two teams. So,
I see a lot of them.
yeah, they will see a lot of each other this year. In the Atlantic League this year, each team is facing their division rivals significantly more than the other teams. With that being said, why don't we take a look around the Atlantic League here on this Tuesday evening after everybody got a night off last night. Hot shot to the left side. Shouldn't be a problem for Zach Collier in center as he catches for out number 2. In Long Island, the Ducks are hosting the High Point Rockers in that contest. The game is final. High Point defeated the Ducks by a score of 7-2. Another high-scoring Lancaster Barnstormers game taking place in Lancaster. They're in the top of the 5th. It's a 13-10 game. Gastonia on top. Another final line, this one from West Virginia. They beat their newfound rival 8-7 over the Lexington Legends. Diaz is 0-1. Well struck to the right side. That ball's got some good air under it. Zach Collier should be able to get there and does. So a quick inning of work for Carlos Diaz. Southern Maryland has their work cut out for them when we return for the bottom of the ninth here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. Southern Maryland trailing by 10, looking for some true late inning magic. They'll send Will Decker to the plate to start things off here in the bottom of the ninth. The score, 12-2 York. York has 11 hits that have given them 12 runs. Southern Maryland, 7 hits and 2 runs. A newcomer into the game for the York pitching staff after Decker flies out to center field. The new arm into the game for this York Revolution team comes in the form of Bruce Bell. Bell on the season has an 162 ERA, having appeared in just one game. Suddenly, that ERA dips after recording the first out. But his one appearance to this point in the year, he pitched a third of an inning, allowing 6 earned runs while walking 3. So if you're Southern Maryland, knowing that, probably should have taken a couple more pitches, but nonetheless.
2 outs on 2 pitches.
As the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs are down to their final out here in this bottom of the ninth inning. Series opener after a day off across the Atlantic League. Southern Maryland 3-7 on the young season. Entering tonight's game, find themselves 3 games back in the Atlantic League North Division, already a sixth of the way through the first half of the Atlantic League 2021 championship season. First pitch to Michael Baca, catches upstairs. It'll go down as strike number 1. Hot shot to the left side. This could be it. Edwin Figuera gobbles and sends it across the infield for out number 3. That's how we put a bow on this contest. 12-2 your final score. York on top of Southern Maryland as their Atlantic League Northern Division rivals take down your Blue Crabs in Game 1 of a 3-game set here on this beautiful Tuesday evening in Southern Maryland. Stevie and I will step aside for a second and be right back with your post-game recap right here on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
Can you go downstairs?
Would love to.
And ask Sam or Courtney to print out like employee paperwork for our scorekeeper.
Okay.
And just tell them.
I'm literally telling them that word for word.
Huh?
I'm telling them that word for word.
Tell them that, yes. And then tell our scorekeeper that you're going down to get it right now and on his way out to sign it.
Who's the scorekeeper?
One on the far end.
Oh, okay. So just tell them to stay. Wait
His
until I
name's
get
Mike.
back.
Just tell him.
I'm going to get paperwork.
Yeah, and that, if you're not back, just tell him you're going to bring it up to him.
Yeah, tell them